Yo, coming to you live from World Championship in San Jose. Welcome to the Living Legends podcast.
I grew up on like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and Christina Aguilera and all this pop music. Looking back at it, I used to absolutely love that. You know,
Sort of, but so like my parents listen to that a little bit. My parents actually like a lot of classic rock. My mom loves Cher, so I've listened to a lot of Cher and Dolly Parton. And then Savage Garden. People know Savage Garden.
Oh, Savage Garden. Yeah, definitely.
And then Selena, actually. So like I was like have that, but then like like I said, I discovered like rock and metal and.
I did as well, but later on,
like Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah,
I got the album Californication. Was one of my first ones. Well, the first album I ever bought like a CD was Americana by The Offspring.
Nice.
I think I still have it. But then I started getting like Metallica and stuff. I've like Ride the Lightning, Black Album, like old Metallica. It's good stuff. I think it's still pretty good. The old stuff is good. Anyway.
Anyway. Let me do the thing. Are we recording?
Do the thing. He did the thing. Ah! How's it going, everyone?
Brilliant.
And welcome back to the Living Legends podcast, your weekly Flesh and Blood podcast where we talk about all aspects of the Flesh and Blood trading card game, and occasionally wild tangents, as you may have just bore witness. Today is a really fun episode. Yeah, dude. Today's really fun episode. It is one of our most popular episode types. We are going over our top 5 favorite cards from Dusk till Dawn, because as of the time of this recording, I want to say like 98% of the set is officially spoiled. We have not seen the Fabled officially. There has been a leak. We're not going to talk about it today. If you go search around on the internet, you can probably find it if you want to see it. We'll talk about that in a future episode. And there's a couple other cards, random ones that haven't been spoiled yet, like this one that has Meeps on it that lets you steal items. That's a Majestic.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk about that later, too. But for the most part, that's what we're doing today. And of course, the people who are listing cards with me are my lovely best friends in Flesh and Blood. We're going to go Bill first this time.
Yeah, boy.
I am Bill from the Spike Feeders, and I'm very excited to talk about the cards that are coming to us in Dusk Till Dawn. Something that I was saying just before we hit record is, out of all the top 5 lists that we've done, this one was the most Windmill Slam easy top 5. In fact, It was kind of more of a top 10. I don't remember exactly how many cards I picked out on my first pass, but I ended up pruning it back to 5 and being like very, very confident in the ones that I'm picking. I think they're all either really cool or really powerful. This isn't necessarily my like picks for, I think these are the best cards in the set.
Oh yeah, no.
Some of them, I think 2 of them are, but outside of that, it's just cards that really speak to me in one way or another.
Yeah.
My initial list was 11. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point to make as well. That it's our favorite cards, not the top 5 meta cards, you know?
Yes.
So it's the ones that spoke to us in a way, whether that's the art, whether that's the flavor of the card, or whether that's a mechanic that hasn't been seen yet, or what have you, or a weird interaction. It's our favorite card. So there's going to be some strange and wonderful picks in here.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, I think it's more interesting because it's really personal, and you can kind of get like an idea of who we are as like card players and all that kind of stuff. And surely some of the cards are going to be very powerful, but
yeah, exactly.
How you doing, my dude? Yeah,
I'm good. Yeah, I'm loving life. I'm going to crack a beer for LSS. There we go. This is a Bella Moretti, which is like an Italian lager. So yeah, just a fantastic job for spoiler season. Really likes the way it works this time with the lore encapsulating the light on one day, then some big impactful things on the second day, which obviously Kel was part of, and then all of the shadow on the last day. So it really sort of gave us the flavour, and all the creators that are involved really sort of got involved with that light versus dark conflict as well, which was great to see. So, cheers! Thanks for getting us all involved on Living Legends podcast, and hopefully we can do it again next time.
Oh yeah, dude. Cheers.
Yeah,
dude. I really loved how they incorporated these trailers too. So we had like the light, and we had first of all, we had, it was like 3 parts, right? So we had like the light trailer where it was like they're all kind of banded together. That was one that they showed on IGN. And then when we started to see light spoilers, they had a second light trailer that was like, this is the light, here's Prism. She kind of did like a cool monologue. Brilliant voice acting. Prism confirmed to be British. And then
yeah, absolutely.
And then on the Shadow Day, I think it was after I spoiled Nazareth, they dropped the Shadow trailer. Also, I think the voice is supposed to be Vincent, also confirmed to be British. I think actually that voice for the Shadow one was done by one of the dudes from Push the Points. I think it was like his significant other or something like that. So
it's So shout out to Dan Tripp, who's 1/3 of the Push the Point guys in the UK. It was his partner, wife that did it. Yeah, fair play. I think she is a voice actor in general, but I don't know the history. Great job.
I'm gonna keep that in mind for future things because she did such a good job. It was brilliant. And speaking of which, shout out to Miss Chalice too for DMM Artist spoiler video. Miss Chalice obviously did a brilliant job as well. So like just a lot of great voice acting. And then I didn't have voice acting, I just had music. So shout out to Ivory Dusk for letting me use their music for my spoiler video. So
and yeah, the trailers were also pretty sick. Sorry, I think you're going to say something, Bill, but I'll say something else beforehand. But would you not?
No. I was
okay. All right. But yeah, the trailers actually inspired me to do a similar thing because I made my spoiler video in a sort of trailer-esque style, which was very similar. It was the light heroes banded together, like charging at the demons or whatever. So yeah, very, very inspiring videos, and you can see that LSS are upping their side of the production as well going forward.
Oh, dude,
nice to see.
It looks really good. Az, you did a really good job too. I commented on your video, but your voice acting was really good. Yeah. I was really impressed.
Yeah.
I thought it was also funny, like the comments were like all of that for that card. Like you're like for Solana, and then the card's like common.
Blistering Assault. Yeah. which was available in all colours, but they only give me the yellow one. Like, okay.
Oh, it's so
cheers
funny.
Then. No, I appreciate LSS. If you're watching this, listening to this, it was good fun. And I spoke about this on the stream that you invited me to the other day. And I actually enjoyed having little time to put together a video. I thought that was a funny challenge. I know a lot of people would be, here, there, and everywhere with it, but I thoroughly enjoyed the challenge as a chaotic individual that has no sort of real sort of path in life. It's just doing things on the whim. So I loved it personally. But
as just a chaos demon in disguise.
Literally, yeah.
We always do that though.
More like a demon of Nurgle. If you know what that means.
You can be
a big, sweaty, festering.
I don't. Anyway, I was gonna suggest otherwise. I was gonna be like Slanesh, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna explain it. We're just not gonna go. We're not gonna go into
lust and
yeah. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna go into it.
I love putting myself down sometimes. It's good fun. That's when you love in life, when you can just take the mick out of yourself.
Yeah, dude.
So anyway, we're in the hole already.
No, it's fun. It's fun. So before we officially get started, we do have one major announcement, and that is that the Living Legends podcast officially has a sponsor. And I'm going to pull that up right now. Look at this.
Absolutely.
Sponsor. So I'll go into it a little bit, and then Az can go into a little bit more because I think he has more of the details ingrained than me. But yeah, we have the Banish Zone, not to be confused with the podcast Banished Zone. The Banished Zone is an excellent LGS that basically just started up. They are going to be focusing on card games like Flesh and Blood, but other card games out there too. There's a myriad of stuff. I know Bill's going to be excited for their Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
But like they have Warhammer 40K. They have like all the stuff that you would expect. Even Grand Archive for those of you who know Grand Archive. But they're going to be sponsoring the podcast here for a couple videos a month, and it's one of those situations where I'll be super honest here. Is like I've heard about them, and I actually have had like contact with like the main dude from the Banish Zone previously. In fact, I don't know if you can see it in my background. He made me like a 3D printed bust of Viscerai like a while ago, and he just kind of sent it to me as a gift, and like that's just super awesome. And so like they're just great members of the Flesh and Blood community who decided to make a game store. And so I know that I personally, I don't want to speak for Az or Bill, but they probably feel the same. I'm very happy to have them as a sponsor. So yeah, and
we had a little call with the gentleman beforehand, didn't we, as well, before we actually made everything live. And you know, he was walking around the shop, and it's very much still in its sort of infancy with regards to how it's going to be set up. So yeah, this sort of first episode is literally just an introduction and direction to their sort of website as well. So that's the Banish Zone. So that's the Banish Zone, not banished, as you mentioned. So thebanishzone.com.
Yep, I will have a link in the description to the video as well as the show notes of the podcast. So if you would like to check them out after we're done saying everything, you can. And I do believe we might have a promo code.
Yeah, Living 10 Legends. So Living and then the number 10 Legends. That's the customer code which we can give out. So yeah, definitely use that when you can.
I don't remember off the top of my head. Do you have the information about all the details for the promo code? Do the folks who use it get a discount? I believe they do.
Yeah, so it's a July promo code. Have you got it, Bill, in front of you?
I think it's 10% off first purchase. If I recall correctly.
I think it's one-time use, 10% off code.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that you can use it on anything. So if you want to buy, once again, I mentioned we already talked about Warhammer a little bit here with the whole Nurgle thing, but dude, if you want to buy the new Warhammer 40K Leviathan box set, 10% off. There you go. Like that thing's like $200.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So if there's products and stuff that you want from multiple games and stuff, they do all of that on here. So banishzone.com, they do a load of different things like from Magic the Gathering, Flesh and Blood, as you said, Games Workshop, Asmodee products, all sorts, dice, accessories. Yeah. So if you want to bundle all that together and then use the code, you're going to get the most value out of it, obviously.
Dusk Till Dawn.
Definitely use that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, they got pre-orders up now. Grand Archive, all sorts.
I do want to mention though that they are still like starting up the store, like it literally just opened. So everything might not be up on their website right now. So if it's not, if you go there and you can't do it right now, check back later, maybe in a week or so. We'll kind of follow up on this in a podcast or two, but just know like they're just starting out. They're still getting all of their infrastructure in place, but I'm very happy to have them supporting us.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
They're really genuine and excited about being a positive force in their community. At least that's the idea that I got when we had a chance to sit down with them previously. So just really driven, really, like I said, genuine, and definitely worth supporting. So we didn't mention it here, but we'll mention it in the next episode. But they host a lot of events. They host a lot of tournaments. Like they are legit like members of the community themselves, and you know it's the kind of folks that we are very happy to support. So
yeah, so just one more bit on that before we move on here, and with regards to the events that they had. So they had a 1K event on last Saturday, and they had attendances from New Jersey, which starts NJ. I don't know what MD is. Is that Minnesota? Where's that?
Maryland.
Maryland.
MN is Minnesota. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Sorry, I'm not from the.
Don't worry. Most people from the US don't even know.
Exactly, and then PA as well, which I know is Pennsylvania because I know people there, and Virginia as well. So where Jim from FAB TCG Cards is from.
Yeah,
So they had people from all over the place go there for their 1K, and 27 people turned up, which is exciting for their first Flesh and Blood event, is the quotes that he said. So yeah, that is pretty good. 27 people for their first 1K event. It seems like they're bringing in people not only from their area but also other areas as well to partake in these. 1K is a big tournament, really. A lot of prizes there. So
Yeah.
good to see. But yeah, thanks for being on board with us. And again, if there's any other sponsors out there which aren't game stores at the moment, because we're obviously signed up with these guys, let us know and we can get similar ads in these videos. As long as you're doing good stuff, which I'm sure you are. But yeah, reach out to us at thelivinglegendspodcast@gmail.com for that. But yeah, so top 5 list, I guess.
Yeah. And I also want to mention they're sponsoring us. We're not going to talk about them this long every episode. This was just kind of a special thing because they're brand new. We're very excited about it. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
In the future, it won't be several minutes long. Yeah. So let's start talking about Dusk Till Dawn spoilers. Or not spoilers, but our top 5 cards. So like we said, we are each going to be presenting 5 cards here. It's gonna be like a round table discussion where one person brings up a card and then we pass it along until all 15 cards have been talked about. And for the audio only people, we will read out what the cards do. But you visual viewers, I will have the cards available. And let me go ahead and bring these bad boys up. And girls and non-binary folk, or all the bad people, bringing them up. Here we go. So who wants to go first? I suppose I can probably go first since
go for it.
I'm talking, and I just want to get this one out of the way because I think it's the most obvious one, at least for me, and I just want to get it out of the way. So we're gonna start off with Leviah Redeemed / Blasphemous Leviah Consumed. It's one card. So I've seen a lot of people confused about how this actually functions, how this works. I'll read it off for you. We'll go over it. But I'll say this straight up. I would love this card, even if it sucked. Like, I just love what they're doing design-wise. It cracks open Flesh and Blood design in ways I didn't think that they were going to approach, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. Even if this card was absolute crap, which I don't think it is. I think it's actually very good.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it's, like, deck-defining. It might be the best card of the set in terms of, like, being like a deck-defining card. But here we go. Let's get into it, especially if you are one of those audio-only folks. So, Leviah Redeemed is a 4 intellect, 8 health shadow demi-hero, the first of its kind. It is a legendary Leviah specialization. We'll talk about how this all makes sense. It also has an action, turn all cards in your banished zone face down, transform into Leviah Redeemed. Activate this ability only while this is in your inventory, which means it's your sideboard, basically. And you have 13 or more cards with Blood Debt in your banished zone. Cards you own lose Blood Debt. First of all, the lore flavor on that is absolutely amazing. If you read the most recent lore on Leviah and like the Shadow, 13 is such a funny number. Because 13 is the number of apostles that the Solanian faithful murdered when the Grand Magister was exiled from Solana and he founded the monastery. He had 13 disciples. They were murdered. And well, they kind of come back in the lore. I'm not going to go over it all here, but go read it. It's awesome. So the number 13 is really relevant. So that basically, this is a card that exists in your inventory. And it has an activated ability from your inventory. It doesn't have go again. When the conditions are met, you can do the ability as an action, and then you transform your hero into Leviah Redeemed with the health. So your hero will now have 8 health. And then, whoops, I brought up a different card here. Your hero will now have 8 health, and then 4 intellect, and then all the effects on the card. So it's kind of like a panic button almost for Leviah, which is Leviah, which is really, really cool. I like that, but wait, there's more. There's another side to this. The second side is Blasmafet, Levia Consumed. And so this side says it is a 4 health or 4 intellect, 13 health. Once again, the number 13 is very funny here. Legendary Levia specialization. While this is in your inventory, when Blood Debt reduces your life to 13, you may transform into Blasmafet, Levia Consumed. I want to note here that the way you lose life for Blood Debt is 1 at a time. So, for example, if you are at 14 life and you're about to lose 6 life due to Blood Debt, this still works because you would lose 1 life due to Blood Debt. This effect would trigger, and then you would continue to lose the rest of the life. So yes, this would still work for that. And then it has a second effect that this is another one of the reasons why I love this card so much. This is basically Yawgmoth's Will, if you know what that means. Once each turn, you may play a card with Blood Debt from your banish zone. Whenever a card is put into your banish zone, turn it face down. And if you turn a card face down in your banish zone, it basically ceases to function. So if it's face down in your banish zone, you won't lose life to Blood Debt, but you also can't play it through this effect or anything like that. It's effectively like double banished, right? It's like extra banished. Whenever a card is put into your banish zone, turn it face down. If you would lose life from Blood Debt, instead banish the top card from your deck. So this does not turn off Blood Debt. Instead, this just turbo mills you. So if you have a ton of Blood Debt, I hope you have a big deck because this is just going to deck you. But you get insane value because you can play cards from your banish zone. And like I said, it's kind of like Yawgmoth's Will, which I just love it so much. I see you, Brian Gottlieb. I see you, James White. Like, I see what you're doing here. So, yeah.
Well, it's like if you look at Chain's ability, that was basically Necropotence, and this is Yawgmoth's Will. It's like a fairer version of it, because obviously there's a lot of conditions that need to be met before you can start doing the thing, and even when you start doing the thing, you're going to be at lesser life when you do it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I want to note a couple things here. You cannot do both of these. So this is a double-sided legendary Levia specialization. So you can only have one of these in your deck, and you can only activate the ability from your inventory. So that means once you activate one of these and it transforms, you cannot do the other one. You have to pick and choose. You're either redeemed or you're consumed, right? Also, the lore, it's real good. Read it. You'll see why both of these make sense in the lore.
Okay. So when you present your cards or whatever, you have to present either one side or the other. You can't just turn into either one.
Correct. Well, you can turn into either one. You just can't do both. So once you've made your decision, you're that one. So like
okay, yeah. So depending on the situation, you could be like, in this game I'm going to turn into Levia Redeemed, but in the next game you could turn into the Blasphemous instead.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
An interesting thing about this is that you'll probably have the opportunity to turn into Blasmafet first, because its trigger is when you are reduced to 13 life.
Yeah.
And so you'll probably want to wait. So in regards to Levia Redeemed, she has 8 life. So you probably don't want to activate that until you are around 8 life, so you don't take a ton of life loss. So like if you're at 20 life, for example, and you turn into Levia Redeemed, you are now at 8 life. So you have 12'd yourself. You've lost 12 life effectively. So you'll probably end up having to decide whether or not you want to become Blasmafet first. And then once you say no, that trigger's gone. Like unless you gain more life to then go back down to 13, you will not have another opportunity to do that. So you just have to make that decision whether or not you want to go for the value train. That's just kind of like a all-in kind of value train, because it's just going to start decking you. Or if you want to do the Blood Debt.
Yeah, from my limited experience of seeing Levia and all that sort of stuff, it's like it just sorts her end game out, doesn't it? Because she just ultimately dies to her own devices in the previous version.
Yeah.
So this version stops that from happening in the late game, essentially, either from using the cards lose Blood Debt from the redeemed, or Blood Debt just banishes the deck instead. So you're not dying in the late game or the mid to late game, just like Levia would do normally, which sorts out all the issues.
Yeah. Levia Redeem feels like a panic button. You like hit the button so you don't die to your own Blood Debt.
Yeah.
I will note that since it turns off Blood Debt, doesn't just turn off Blood Debt, the cards lose Blood Debt. So that means stuff like Doomsday are now unplayable. Like it
Mhm.
cares about cards with blood debt in your banner zone. You now have no cards with blood debt in your banner zone. So you have to be careful with that kind of stuff, and kind of like plan around it. But I think this is just insanely good. And like I said, even if this card sucked, it would be my favorite card of the set. I just absolutely love the idea that you can transform your hero from sideboard into a different hero, and it's so like cool and dynamic, and like from a design standpoint, it really opens up just play design and just options and all this kind of cool stuff. But also just as a fan of Flesh and Blood, it's just super cool. I
Yeah,
love it so
absolutely.
much, and like I can't help but think that like it's not in the set, but maybe in a future set, maybe in Monarch 3, that will finally be Dory's time to like become Super Saiyan Dory, right? As we've seen in the lore, we'll have regular Dory, and then boom, she becomes like Light Dory or something. Like that would be so rad. So yeah, I'm this card. And then like the art, I didn't even mention the art. Art's done by Steve Argyle for Levi Redeemed. It's absolutely beautiful. And then the horrendous art, like not in like it's bad and that it's really gross. Blasphemous Levi Consumed by Wishnutan. Just
of course it is. Yeah,
A+ S tier. It's just amazing. So that's me gushing about this. Bill, what do you think about what do you think about Levi?
Yeah, I mean, it shows something that we kind of mention every single time we go through one of these, is it just shows the Flesh and Blood design team's willingness to continue pushing the boundaries that have been already put into place. So you have your sideboard, you have your inventory rather. You have your hero. It's like, well, what if you could change your hero from your inventory? Like it just the idea that you can do that, and that they're looking at that as an option and more ways to sort of interact with cards that you own outside of the game, I think is just a really cool way to basically print a new hero without actually printing a new hero.
Yeah, so good.
So yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think that it's like just super clean design. The one thing that people have been saying though is it's like, oh well, you if you're playing against Levia, you always have to wonder, are they playing it or are they not? And it's like, well, if they're playing Levia, they're playing this card. This card is kind of nuts. So.
Why would you not play this card if you're playing Levi? Like,
yeah, if you aren't playing it, it's because you don't own it, which is like fine. But yeah, that is like basically the only reason that you would want to play this card.
It is a legendary, so like it is going to be somewhat difficult to get. But I will say this: Mansant, the person who spoiled this, you should go check out his video because he goes into all the details why it's great and all that kind of stuff because he's a Levi diehard. But he did confirm that it does come in a Marvel version as well. We don't know if it comes in Rainbow, Cold Foil, and Marvel, but it might. So something like the Trench, from or the Redback Shroud came with Rainbow Foil, regular Cold Foil, and then Extended Art Cold Foil. So you actually might have 3 chances to get this, and if that's the case, then like the Rainbow Foil version is probably going to be fairly easy to obtain, and then as such, probably going to be like pretty cheap because literally only one hero in the game can play this. So I think it'll be somewhat affordable. I'm guessing like $30 to $50 for a Rainbow Foil version. That's my guess. But
yeah,
I also like the idea of like giving this sort of extra push to one specific hero instead of making this like a shadow card or a blue card. Like being like, this is for Levia. Kind of like Quivers in the last set. Like just it's an additional thing that they're able to sprinkle on. For Quivers at least it was a class, but for this it's a hero.
Yeah.
And obviously we do have specializations and stuff, and this is a specialization, but it's something so outside of what Flesh and Blood usually looks like. Specifically for Levia. And yeah, I think that that's cool too. It really rewards people like Mansant, people that just really align or just love a specific hero. Because now you just get a cool new thing that you get to do that nobody else gets to do unless they want to play your hero.
I think this is something that they've said before recently, and it really feels like this is going to be a lot of design weight going forward, is that it feels like they want underpowered or underrepresented heroes to have their time in the sun. And I think we saw that with Outsiders, specifically with Azalea. We had that huge resurgence of Azalea. Everyone was like, oh, she's so good. She was at all the top tables. And I feel like this is Levia's time. Like, this is the Azalea moment for Levia. We'll talk about maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode if we think Bolton's going to have his moment here. But I think this is Levia's moment. So I think it's cool.
And it forces the blood debt strategy more as well, because obviously a lot of people were avoiding that, and obviously we saw lists that were just literally Levia to run Carrion Husk and use all the Rhinar cards. So which Bill actually played against me with on the Azalea Ringer series recently. But yeah, this definitely gives you that incentive to actually run more blood debt cards and even use cards like Hexagore, the Death Hydra, to, you know, maybe bring your life down quicker so you can get to this thing to get all the value out of it. Maybe getting all the value out of the Blasphemous side, just going all in to that strategy, which is nice. And again, opening up design space for other heroes later on down the line. Like maybe there's like an Azalea, the Desperate Scoundrel, for instance, when she's below 15 life, she can then use arrow cards from her graveyard or something like this, which allows you to pivot into a certain strategy, but still only tailor it to those specific heroes that need it in the moment. So yeah, great card to start off with because it is defining on the card design space for sure.
Yeah.
You know what just sort of clicked? You know what this specifically is? It's a second health bar for a boss.
It kind of is, yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a second phase. And yeah, I think that's sick. That's really, really cool. It's such a main character thing to do, and I love it.
What
it really is.
What's really sweet is that for the Blasmafet side, it doesn't increase your health because it only triggers when you're at 13, and then it has 13 health. But for Levia Redeemed, you can actually gain life. So if you're at like 1 life and then you're Levia Redeemed, you go up to 8. So like, I don't know. Yeah. It's just cool. This card's just super cool. I love it.
Yeah.
Let's
Great
go
place to start.
in clockwise fashion from what I have in the overlay, probably not on what it's actually in the Discord call. Bill, what is your first card that you would like to talk about today?
I mean, all of the cards that I've picked today, I just really, really love. Let's start with the Light Illusionist Legendary, Empyrean Rapture.
Ooh, baby.
I saw this card. It comes in extended art. It's the Light Illusionist Legendary. For the audio listeners, before I start gushing about it, I'll read out what it does. So it's a legendary Light Illusionist equipment chest piece. And it reads, if a card with Herald in its name has been put into your hero's soul during your turn, the first hero ability you activate that turn costs 2 resources less to activate. So obviously works exceedingly well with the new Prism, being able to awaken a Figment at instant speed. And it ties in even better with that because you get to search with her ability once a Herald gets put into your soul, if I recall correctly. So this is just the perfect complement to her ability. It triggers off of a situation that you want to get yourself into with Prism anyway, by attacking with a Herald and having it go into your soul. That triggers the Prism, gets you a Figment, and then this triggers and allows you to awaken that Figment for free at instant speed.
Yeah. Seems pretty good.
It's so cool. It's so clean. It's perfect A+B. And then it also has once per turn instant 1 resource. This gets ward 1 until end of turn. So this is very similar to the line of text, the defensive line of text that we saw on Van Braces of Determination. And I actually really like this here because what they could have done, obviously, is given this the Celestial Kimono treatment and just given it ward, which would mean that it's just constantly under pressure of being destroyed by you not having enough other ways to defend or what have you. But it can be a defensive piece, but only when you actually want it to be. So it can do everything that it needs to do, and then once you figure, I either need to get rid of this to just use the 1 block to swing it back in my favor, then you can pay for it. But outside of that, it just sort of stays on its own, and isn't really threatened by other stuff. So I just think that it's really, really cool. The art by Soyame is gorgeous. I like actually need this card so bad. And yeah, I think its effect is just an absolute slam dunk for Prism, for the new Prism specifically.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it contributes to her being so much of a toolbox, which I think that's exactly how she's going to play out. You're going to be able to either pull out the same couple figments every game if we find some that are stronger than others, or you can pick the ones that work in specific situations. And sort of adapt to the game as it's running. And this just allows you to do that without having to invest quite as many resources. So yeah, I think that this card is incredible. The art is fantastic, really well designed, really powerful. And I'm really looking forward to pulling an extended one, please.
Me too. It's like one of my big chase cards of the set. Like, I just really want it because it's so beautiful. Like, and I'm definitely gonna, message Soyame about like artist proof because she has artist proofs of the extended art Redback Shroud legendary, and I'm sure she's gonna get artist proofs of extended art Empyrean Rapture, and yep, I'm gonna message her for that. And they're probably more expensive. They're probably gonna be more expensive than the actual card, but they're gonna be so good. But,
it's exactly like Redback Shroud as well in the sense that she's definitely painted a character, but obviously the art displayed here is the outfit.
Yep.
So it's one of those things where they've drawn a character, and when on the extended art you actually see the full character. Is that right? It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
You actually see your face.
Yeah.
So I really like the art style with this because it's just a character, but obviously it's just zoomed in a little bit for the equipment, and obviously in the extended you zoom right out and you see the whole thing, which is great.
It is beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
I see this and I'm like, this is a must play for Prism. If you're playing Prism, new Prism, you just have to play this card. Yeah.
It's a direct reason why she's got lesser health, I think, because this just says you do her hero ability for free.
Yeah,
on the turn you're attacking, you do this for free. You might have even done another one, then you can just do it on your opponent's turn. Then you got two things out in one cycle, which is mad.
You don't even need to attack because it only cares about them going into your soul. So you can actually use soul food to put them into your soul to get the effect.
Yeah.
Yes. Soul food.
It's gone up in price apparently.
Yeah. It used to be like a 10-cent bulk card. Yeah, dude.
That's like $2-3 or something. I was listening to Fluke earlier, and he said something about that. But it was a good one. It's definitely a good one.
I really do love how they like make these cards that were like absolute like junk tier into like somewhat valuable cards later on. One of these days, Mutated Mass will see its day.
Let's go, Mutated Mass.
Although
some of these cards, some of these brute cards, these shadow brute cards, do have lots of different pitch values, right? Or costs. Was it pitch value or cost for the Mutated Mass?
It's cost. It's cost. Yeah.
Cost. Yeah, so there's quite a lot of high costed stuff in this set. So
there's some weird.
We're about to get onto one of them. I'll tell you that now with my card.
Yeah, dude. Speaking of which,
Speaking of which, Shaden Death Hydra is my first pick.
Baby.
This is a Shadow Brute action. Blocks for 3, and it's a yellow. It costs 6 to play, so it's quite a high-costed one. But it attacks for 13 damage.
13?
And it has the 13? Absolutely. And it's a running theme. But then when it attacks, it deals X damage to you, where X is 13 minus the number of cards of Blood Debt in your banished zone. So the more cards, again, we were speaking about Blood Debt earlier and how there's payoffs. If you play this card, you lose a lot of damage early on. But if you play it later on, you're going to lose less life. And it's coming in for 13, which is absolutely ridiculous, which is a massive attack. I think it's the second highest attack in the game, second to Pulverize, maybe?
Yes, because Pulverize is 14. This is 13. And then we also have an 11 and a 10, I think. So
that's right. So Shaden Death Hydra, I think it's awesome. The art looks really good as well. And there's a silly interaction with a card called Tear Limb from Limb, which Ian will love. So tail in for limb reads, draw a card, then discard a random card. If a card of 6 or more power is discarded this way, the next brute attack action card you play this turn gets +X, where X is its base power. So you get +13 on your next attack if you somehow manage to discard this.
So what you do
is pretty fun
is you have the Death Hydra in your arsenal, and then you play Terra limb from limb with like, a bunch of like blue or yellow 6 attacks in your hand. Guarantee you get the discard, and then pitch the rest of your hand so you can slam the Hydra from your arsenal for 26. Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Hell yeah, brother.
Absolutely.
People,
that'll be ridiculous.
This is going to just one-shot people in Blitz sometimes. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
Like literally it's going to be like a turn 1, like almost one shot in Blitz. Cuz like what kind of normal hand block? If you have all 3 block cards, which is definitely not the case. There's a lot of 2 blocks. If you run an instance, maybe 0 blocks. Like you can block 12 of it. So it's and then plus whatever you have for your equipment. So you're gonna be taking like a lot.
Going to be taking a lot of damage
14,
on turn 1 potentially.
14 damage unless you want to throw in your fridge. Turn 1.
Yeah.
And if you're playing like Kano, if you're playing Kano,
Yeah.
or Prism or New Prism, if you're playing New Prism and you have a bunch of the figments which are instants and don't block in your hand, you are dumpstered. You just get absolutely wrecked.
You die.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like it. It's cool. This card was one of the 11 cards that was on my list initially, I think, because it's just like, what the hell?
It's just a fun card, isn't it? And relatively speaking, it is also a popper, which is relevant also because it definitely pops. It definitely pops a prism attack. Let's be honest. It pops 2, but no, it doesn't
matter
really,
what.
It is a
no matter what.
Double pops. Well,
it is a legit pop.
Speaking of poppers, my second card. Let's do my angel pick. So this is Figment of Protection. And 100% without a doubt, this is my favorite art in the entire set. Possibly some of my favorite art in the entire game. I didn't even know that this artist existed before this card, and after that, they have become one of my favorites. And I want to tell just a quick little story about that. Spoiler Weekend was just been like a blur of just like interaction on Twitter and YouTube and all this kind of stuff. And then when I found like this artist, I looked them up on Twitter and they were already following me. And I was like, hell yes, I follow you now too. Because their name is Bastien. What is their last name? Bastien Jez or Yez. And the art style, if you're audio only here, I'm just going to describe it as very classical, like in the sense that like David is classical, right? It's a very classical style that it's just, I love it so much. You don't see it a lot these days, but it works so well here because it's a figment, and this one is the Figment of Protection. It is a 4-drop light illusionist instant figment. As an instant, it does not block. It is yellow, and I believe those stats are true for every single figment. I do believe they're all 4-cost, yellow pitch, 0 block instants for the figment side. The rest of it says legendary. It is majestic rarity, but is legendary in a mechanic, which means you can only have one of them in your deck, which is really important for Prism, which means you can only have this effect once. And it says, when this enters the arena, create a spectral shield token. Now, as a figment, it has a second side. The second side being Aegis, Archangel of Protection. Once again, I absolutely adore this artwork. This is by Soyame. We're probably going to talk about Soyame a lot because she is absolutely, her art is so beautiful. And Aegis is a 4/4 light angel ally. And I want to talk about in a minute why I think all of the angels are light and not illusionists, because all of the figments are light illusionist cards, but the angels are all light cards. And I think there's a very specific reason, maybe for lore, but definitely for mechanics. It has a once per turn action for 2 resources attack. Once again, I think that's true for all of the angels. And then it says, when Aegis attacks, you may banish a card from your hero's soul. If you do, create 2 spectral shield tokens. So on a turn where you put this into, like when you get the figment into play, you get 1 spectral shield, and then if you're able to attack, that's 2 more. So you have a total of 3 spectral shields and an attack of 4, which is pretty sweet. It also has the ward 4, which all of the angels also have. in Ward 4, just in case you don't know, it says if your hero would be dealt damage, destroy this to prevent 4 of that damage. You can kind of choose which wards you want to pop. Like if you have a bunch of wards, right? Say like you have that the new illusionist hat that has like ward 2 or whatever on it. And you have this in play, and someone's dealing you 2 damage. Well, you can choose whether you want this to die or you want the hat to die. Like you can pick which one you want to prevent, which is interesting if you have multiples. So I really like this card mostly for the art, because it's like some of my favorite art in the entire game. But I also like the effect too, and I wanted to highlight the angel itself because it's a light angel, and I'm pretty sure they made them light angels and not light illusionist angels because of Luminaris, good Luminaris, because Luminaris gives all of your illusionist attacks go again. And this is not an illusionist attack. This is a light attack, so it will not get go again from old Luminaris, and I'm pretty sure that's why they made these light and not illusionist, because
Makes sense.
you can still play good Luminaris in Blitz. So I'm pretty sure that's why they did that. And also, like, there's some like maybe possibly some lore reasons because like this is not an illusion. This is like maybe the actual manifestation of the angel, right? Flavor stuff, yada yada. But mechanically speaking, I'm pretty sure that's why they did that, because that seems busted. So yeah, that's Aegis. I really like it. She's pretty. And the Figment of Protection, like I said, one of my favorite arts in the entire game. And so much so that I might message Bastion to see if they do like commissions, because I love this art so much. So yeah. That's
nice. Yeah.
That's it. Oh, and then the extended art version, I don't have an image of it here, but there is like a Marvel version, and the Marvel version has like the art for the Figment like extended, and it looks awesome. That's true for all of these extended art, and the backside has like the cool full art angel goodness that we've seen. So
yeah,
that's my pick 2. Bill,
Right.
what you got?
The art in this set is just so sick.
Yes.
Before I get into my next one, which is also going to be one of the Figment / Angels, I do also just want to give a shout out to a artist that I have been a gigantic fan of for a very long time, who is finally making an appearance. Eric Klug.
Yeah.
He's been like a absolutely legendary tier card altarist and artist for Magic the Gathering. He did 2 of the arts for the Figments, for Figment of War and Figment of Rebirth. It's done in his stained glass style, which is just unparalleled. It's so good. So I'm really, really excited to start seeing cards from Eric Klug here. I've just always been a big fan.
He had a cool post on Twitter talking about like the art direction and all like what went into those 2 pieces of artwork. And it was really, really interesting to read. So highly recommend that. Go check it out. It's really cool. The art is very distinct too. It's like, and I really love that. I love it when you can tell that it's an artist, like a particular artist, just by like glancing at the work, and you're like, that's Eric's art, that's Soyame's art. I can do that for Sam Yang, and then the artist that's going to be on Bill's next card, Daria Klebnikova. Like that's her art. I like, bam, I could tell exactly, because she has a very distinct art style.
But yeah, speaking of the next card that I'm going to be talking about today, it's another Figment. As I said, it's Figment of Erudition.
Spicy.
So just like actually, I looked it up as Kel mentioned, that all of the Figments sort of share the same stat line, and they do. This one is no exception. So it pitches for yellow. It costs 4. It's a light illusionist instant Figment. It is legendary in mechanic, so you can only have 1 of them in your deck. And when it enters the arena, you create a ponder token, which I already think is like pretty good. It kind of replaces itself, especially if you're getting this out of your deck. It just gives you access to a tutorable ponder token to sort of keep yourself going during the game. And then when you awaken it, it flips over to Soraya, Archangel of Erudition, which is another light angel ally. 4 attack, 4 health. It has once per turn action, 2 resources to attack. And then when this attacks, you may banish a card from your hero's soul. If you do, draw 2 cards. And then it also has Ward 4.
It's pretty good.
So personally, for me, this is my pick for what I think the strongest Figment is. Strongest Figment / Angel. Again, just having the fact that Prism is able to search for any Figment at any point during the game means that you will have access to basically all of these effects. There are only 8 Figments, and you're probably going to want to run, if not all of them, probably like more than half.
Yeah.
And I think that Figment of Erudition makes the cut 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Ponder Token is just always good. The effect of being able to draw 2 cards, and if you're able to give it go again from Prism's new Luminaris, then you're able to continue to use the cards that you just drew. I think that it's just like, it's good to sort of make sure that you're maintaining a certain level of card quality and consistency, as well as continue to provide pressure into the late game. I just think that it does kind of everything. Like, this is probably the first one that I'm getting almost every time, unless something really needs to happen.
This is the one that you also, I think this is true for almost all of them, by the way. You don't actually want them in your hand. You want to get them for free from Prism's effect. You don't want to have to pay for 4 and then also just have them sitting in your hand as a 0 block.
Yeah.
One thing we should mention. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say quickly. Mechanically speaking, Figments are kind of like auras. They sit on your board. They just kind of like sit around. Unlike auras, they don't have Spectre or anything like that, so they just kind of like exist. I don't think there's any way to get rid of them currently, so they're just kind of like chilling until you flip them. So you could, theoretically speaking, get this down early game and then late game flip it over to get the angel and the card draw and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, which is also a really interesting thing, because then you're kind of protecting it until you need to go.
Yeah.
Like until you really need the effect or the angel. Because like you said, you can't just attack this. It's not like a Genesis, which obviously Genesis is super powerful, but it is always open to being attacked. With this one, you can just leave it in its Figment form, completely untouchable, basically, until you decide, you know what, I'm going to awaken this and I'm going to start doing some stuff and drawing some cards.
I can already see really, really annoying situations where like they're just like, yeah, they have Erudition out and they're just like, wait, now I have a ton of ward. Now I have my Angel of Erudition, like, come at me, bro. And if they do, and you like, hey, guess what? I'm still Prism. Here's an Arclight Sentinel. Try again. Like,
oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
You forgot about that.
Yeah, dude.
Still exists.
Yep. I think
something
Prism's
that I was
gonna be good.
Yeah, I think so. I'm really excited to put this deck together. So something that I think is really interesting that just sort of came to mind as Cal mentioned, that you want these in your hand. It reminds me of a concept from Yu-Gi-Oh, where you have cards that you specifically want in your deck, and if you draw them, they are bad.
Yeah.
And they're lovingly referred to as garnets, and I'm not going to go into why, but that is just the term that they have for that kind of card. And I was going to say that they're kind of balanced around the fact that they are kind of garnets, but at the same time, in Flesh and Blood, you have the ability to put these back into your deck by pitching them.
Yep.
So if you do draw them, you can still have access to getting them for free from Prism. And that's like really slick, I think. I think this is really good.
Oh, okay. I was like, I was thinking, okay, they're legendary. You can only have one. So once they're gone, they're gone. But then I was like, wait a minute. What kind of recursion effects? Can you get these back with Remembrance?
You cannot.
No.
Okay.
Currently, the only cards that you can get back are actions. Either attacks or non-attacks.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah,
that's
if
one
you
thing.
could recycle these, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, dude. So it's gross. Especially, I was like, wait, if you get these back with Remembrance just shuffles them back into your deck, that's what you want anyway. Then you just tutor them back in. Woof.
Yep.
Oof.
Yeah, that's one thing you have to remember as well. If you're facing a Prism, is that eventually they're going to run out of the named angels if you keep killing them. So a lot of their value is going to go if you can get rid of them, but it's just not the way you want to go either, because you have to want to attack the face, and it's just one of those decisions that you have to make when you're playing against this deck.
Notably, damage that can't be prevented shreds all of the angels to pieces. It absolutely rips them apart. So Vincent's hero ability to do like have your one little rune chant be like unpreventable just annihilates all of the ward. Like it is.
Yeah, it's
because
nutty.
This is going to shortcut how it works, but basically the ward will try to prevent the damage, but the damage can't be prevented, so it still pops the ward, and then so on and so forth. The ward will try to prevent the damage, can't be prevented, try to prevent the damage, can't be prevented, and then they're all gone. Which
brutal.
Yeah.
Again, is one of the reasons that I really like the previous card I talked about, Empyrean Rapture, only having ward when you want it to.
Yes, and that's also
just immediately die to Vincent.
Yeah, that's also why I think it's super important that we brought up that you can wait to flip them over to when you really need them. I don't think it's always good to immediately just like angel flip. Like I think you really want to time it properly. Like that's what you'll see the pros, like, you know, at the Pro Tour or Worlds or whatever, you'll see them, I imagine you'll see them wait on the really important ones until like big turns where they really need it. Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of the May ability on the ward as well, I think that's something that we slightly alluded to on a previous podcast, because we mentioned about the Celestial Kimono, and if you had ward, there might be a way to trigger the May on the ward. But you know, this is similar to that because you can choose not to trigger the ward by paying, because you pay it when you want it, like you were saying. So we kind of was on the right track, but not necessarily soothsaying this time round on the LL pod.
Speaking of the right track, this is my segue to Az. What's your?
That was so natural, brilliant, absolutely love it.
Natural, so good.
My next card isn't going to be like a slam dunk or anything. It's just more sort of design space, and that is Cleansing Light. So this is a light action. So it comes in all pitch values. Obviously, it costs 3. Obviously, it pitches for 1, 2, or 3. Blocks for 2. And it says if a card has been put into your hero's soul this turn, you can play it as an instant. And it just says destroy target red, yellow, or blue aura. So this is just like your disenchant in your Magic the Gathering. This is a card that says destroy target thing. So I think we're going to see potentially more of this in the future, like destroy target ally, destroy target aura, destroy target whatever. So I just wanted to point that out as like a potentially a one-off. I know we've seen stuff like if it hits, you then can destroy items or stuff like that, but I don't think we've ever seen just something that says destroy target whatever on a card before. So just wanted to point that out, really. And if I've missed anything, then leave a comment in the section below, or if you guys can think of anything right now. But I don't think we have seen anything like that so far.
The closest that I can think of is Arg Smash, but that's gated behind a dice roll, to be fair.
There's other, what is it called? Smash in Good Time also destroys items, I believe.
That is when an attack action hits. It gives it to it gives that on hit to an attack action. It's basically like Plunder. But it smashes the thing. So like for this though, it is just contained in itself, which I think is kind of neat.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, exactly. So it's destroy target thing.
I have two thoughts.
I don't think there's anything else.
Yeah.
Go for it.
My two thoughts. First thought, keep in mind figments are not auras. You cannot destroy a figment with this effect.
No.
Second thing, wait, is Arclight Sentinel an aura?
Sentinel is an aura.
Can you blow up Arclight Sentinel like instant speed with the yellow one of these before it ALSs you, but like before the damage?
It is
connects?
an aura.
Oh, interesting. Okay, you know what?
Oh, there we go.
Bank these questions for when Joshua Scott is back on the podcast. more ALS questions. And then my second thought.
Yeah, as long as
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, carry on. I was going to say, as long as you've put a card into your soul this turn, you can then play it at instant speed in reaction to the arc light coming out.
Yeah.
If you put something into your soul, and bolting can do that on the opponent's turn. With some bannerets and some weird stuff. And even when he
Say,
defends with his equipment.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's his chest piece, I think.
Oh, the new
Allows him
legendary
to
one.
charge
Yeah.
his soul. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a sweet card.
Yeah, so you could potentially. I know this is pure copium town, but that's exactly why I wanted to bring it up because weird interactions with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead. What was you going to say?
Well, the other thing that I think is like applicable for this card comes in the format that we have no idea about yet, and that is PvE. I think this could be one of those cards
yeah, of course.
that you're like, whatever, it's like whatever 1v1, but in PvE you're like, yo, that boss puts out a bunch of nasty auras. Someone play light so we can get the cleansing light so we can blow up their auras, I think
very true.
that's super cool. That's why I think this card is like gives me pause. I'm like, I could see us maybe using this in like PvE or something. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. You could, before you do the campaign or whatever, you could be like, right, we need some bloody cards in this deck which destroy us. We need you to put some cleansing lights in there. How many should I put in there then? What do you reckon we need, etc. It's one of those things, isn't it, that I didn't even think of that. So that's another reason why it's good.
Yeah, dude, I think it's cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I like it. Also,
nice.
the art's really pretty, and it's probably really, really, really pretty in foil.
Oh, yeah.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
Fantastic.
Who's
next?
I think I am up
Leave it to
next.
Kel, yeah.
All right, let's get into some of the only generics here because there's some cool stuff that I want to talk about. Let's talk about Censor first. So,
oh god, this is a Zuri card, isn't it?
Maybe because okay. So let's talk about Censor. I wish it attacked for more than 5, but that's just being greedy. So Censor is a generic attack action. Costs 1 to play. It's red pitch. Attacks for 5, blocks for 3. So those stats right there are actually like pretty solid. Like a 1 for 5 block 3 is like pretty good. Like they could have made this a 2 block, but the fact that it's a 3 block is like nice. Is real nice. And it has a really, really cool on-hit effect that I love this on-hit effect. It has the same type of effect as a card that already exists but doesn't really see any play. And well, let's just read out the effect for you. It is, when this hits a hero, name a card. They can't play the named card until the end of their next turn. So this kind of reminds me of, is it called like Chains of Eminence?
Chains of Eminence, yeah.
You play it and you name a card. Chains of Eminence is a little bit better, by the way. So Chains is a 0 cost non-attack. You play it and then you name a card, but the players can't play, pitch, or block with that card, I believe is what Chains does. This one is just play, but it's on a pretty efficient attack action. 1 for 5, block 3, and then it has like a pretty sweet on-hit effect. Yeah, I just really like this kind of effect. I love these kind of like hate bear style things. I think it rewards players for deep knowledge of the game, right? So if you're like, okay, I think my opponent is playing this card in their deck, it's going to be crucial. If they have it next turn, I lose the game, or it's going to be really bad for me, or whatever reason. Attack with this, call that card, and if you get it right, then it's just super, super good. And I think I just love effects like this. I love Chains of Eminence, and I love this one too. Yeah.
I think this is ridiculous in Azuri, this card. Especially as you say, if you know the opponent's deck,
yeah.
Not only is it offensive, but it's also defensive on your turn because you're screwing up the thing that's going to hurt you back the most. And that is just horrendous. The utilization of this is mad.
It's really spicy in Uzuri. Like this is.
I don't want to know.
When you can see your opponent's hand. And then you can
exactly.
So you can do something like shakedown, hit him with shakedown, name the color. I usually pick red or blue, depending on who I'm fighting against. They reveal their hand. You banish one of those cards, and then you somehow give your shakedown go again, maybe with your Black Tech Whisperers or whatever. And then you can play this card because it's only a 1-drop, so you can use your Tunic, slap this down, and if it hits them, then you already know what's in their hand. So they only have 3 cards in their hand now. Maybe even less if they blocked, and then you can just eat their turn. So this is sweet. This one, I think, I'm just thinking about Uzuri specifically. This goes better in the Uzuri deck that I don't play, but I might now, and that's the one with the pumps. So like, there's a version of Uzuri that runs like Nimblisms and that kind of stuff. Like Nimblism into this is like kind of gross. Also, Oh no, I think it only does assassin attacks. Never mind. I was gonna say the spikes, like spike with blood rot and all that. I think that only pumps assassin attacks, but I'll have to double check. I look over
Yeah,
here.
even things like razor reflex and stuff is pretty good as well with stuff like this, because this could hit and then you get go again, then you could do something afterwards, which is even more horrible. But yeah, it blocks for 3 as well, which chains doesn't do, and obviously yeah, it just rewards you for having knowledge and knowing what you don't want to see coming back at you. You know, if you know that you don't want to be hit by a red in the ledger next turn because you've got something lined up in your arsenal or whatever, you can just name that, and then they have to block because you know you're just guaranteeing your next turn what your next turn's going to be, because you don't want that interaction from a certain card, which is just it's not very nice.
You cannot spike it. Spike only does stealth cards, not even just assassins, only stealth cards. But still,
Yeah, it makes sense.
Still, razor reflex, any of the things that care about 1 or less costs.
Lunging press, all you know, all those ones. Yeah.
So
my immediate first thought was that this feels like a pretty sweet tech option for Ira. Keep the pressure on the turn, because like a 1 for 5 that blocks for 3 is like the stat line for Ira cards.
Yeah.
So just having this as like even just a sideboard option or something for the aggro mashup, where it's like, okay, against, I don't know, for example, Phi, you don't get Brand with Cinderclaw now next turn. Like, cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and once again, I'd like to call out the art. I think first of all, art in the set might just be the best art they have done in Flesh and Blood, not just from like art fidelity, but like art direction. It's just it's so good. I love it so much. This art is done by Carlos Cruchaga, and I'm just in this like for this set. I'm loving like the classical style. This feels to me also fairly classical, but in a different way. Like it has this character that looks like a demon, but like it kind of looks like the demon from like the Tenacious D video, right?
Pure goat lord, absolutely goat lord style. Yeah.
And he's like putting a finger over the character's mouth, as you know, the card's called censor, as to like, shh, you just be quiet here. I love it.
Yeah,
great card. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try this in Uzuri for sure. I think there's a couple slots in there that I can like get yeeted, like that 2 for 6 that only makes them discard if they have exactly 4 cards. I can probably yeet that for this thing. Try it out.
Yeah, because when I play against Uzuri, and when I have done like recently and stuff, I always think, right, if they're going to stealth something in, it's going to be either something that blows up my arsenal, okay, fine, I can still use my 4 cards, or they're going to try and strip a card from my hand, okay, that's fine. But then if they then take away the only arrow, or the most effective arrow that I want to fire next turn, even if it misses, even if you don't name the right thing, you're still protecting your own turn by naming that card, regardless of whether I have it or not. So I think it's gonna be very good in that deck. But yeah, I played against Azuri quite a lot, and I just hate it in general. But this is even more spice for that hated deck. But
it's my favorite. My favorite deck.
Yeah,
actually, I'm not sure. I don't know if I like Lexi or Uzuri more, but.
It's just that interaction, which is one of the reasons I play Azalea a lot, because I like the interaction. But this is so much interaction, which can be used against me, which makes me quite sad. But I'm not doubting the power of it for sure. That's good choice.
Yeah, I love everything about this card. It's sweet, and like I said, the fact that it blocks 3 too is just like the icing on the cake. It's just like and it blocks for 3. So yeah,
they could have made it worse and didn't.
It's like
I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah, the fact that it costs 1 as well. If you've blocked with your entire hand, or you just left this card in your arsenal or something, you can just use a tunic to fire it back, and then potentially gain back some tempo by naming the card you don't want to see. It's just ridiculous. If it costed more, it probably wouldn't be a Majestic, I reckon.
The fact that it costs 1 is what really makes it sweet in Uzuri. Even though you can cheat in two costs, this makes it so it's so easy to play off, like as a follow-up, because you just give your thing go again, tunic, trigger, play this.
Yeah.
Like it's just, you just get it, you play it for free. Yeah, it's sweet.
Yeah, it's very good.
All right, Bill.
Cool.
What you got?
Well, thankfully I have a good segue into the next card that I want to talk about. This is another card that is hand interaction, a way to protect yourself, and also illustrated by Carlos Cruchaga. We have Lost in Thought,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is majestic illusionist action. Costs 1, blocks for 2, pitches for 1, and it has a very, I would say, a deceptively powerful effect. Because when I first read it, I was just like, I don't know how I feel about that. But the more I thought about it, and I'll elaborate as we talk about it, the more I liked it. But it's look at target hero's hand and choose an attack action card. If you do, they put that card on the bottom of their deck and they create a ponder token, and then go again. So obviously you look at it and you're like, okay, this rips a card out of your opponent's hand. It's not forever because it gets replaced. And that's sort of where it ended with me. I was just like, like they replace it right away. Like we already had like Phantasmaclasm as a way to interact with your opponent's hand in Illusionist. But this specifically, it takes it away until your opponent's next end phase.
Yeah.
So not only are you, I think the first thing that a lot of people were thinking of was, well, this clears the way for your attacks. Like for anything that has Phantasm, you take their 6 attack thing, and then they either have no ways to pop your attacks, or they have one fewer way. Or, you know, if you're playing this and you're not worried about that as much, you're like, well, I'm going to take this card so that they either can't attack me with it or something like that. And then again, it takes it until the end of their next turn. And it also makes any other ponder tokens they create redundant, kind of, because you're giving them one anyway, so you kind of don't care about that. It's also specifically a red card, so in Dromai, this is also a way to just turn on Go again for all of your dragons, as well as, like I said, clearing the way for them to make sure they don't get destroyed. I think that this type of hand interaction and the fact that it gives you perfect information about your opponent's hand so that you can play understanding the way that they're going to attack you back is like really strong for one resource. I think this card is like extremely good.
Yeah.
And I know as soon as I started talking about this card, as sort of shrunk down into a tiny little nothing because against Rangers specifically, this card is such a beating. You just take their arrow and then they're left with a hand of buffs, and it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I think this card is honestly kind of nuts. The fact that it costs 1 resource is like not bad. And yeah, again, just the information that you get, the way that you can change your opponent's whole game plan. It's good against some decks more than others. I don't think this is a perfect card for every scenario, but I do think it's extremely strong in the situations that you would want it.
So my question, do you run this in anything but Dromai? Like, are you going to put this in Prism?
I might, honestly, because you need your heralds to hit.
That's true.
So you still do care about poppers.
That's true.
So yeah, I think that even without clearing the way for poppers, I think just the tempo that you can take from your opponent by, again, knowing their exact game plan as soon as you see their entire hand, and taking away one of their attacks to sort of keep tempo at least neutral for a turn, I think is like really good. I think this card has a lot of different axes of efficiency that it's working on, and I think it does it all pretty well. Specifically because they don't get the card back right away. I think that's a really, really big part of it. If it was just another Phantasmaclasm effect, I would not be as high on this card as I am. But
well, it's like what we were saying about Censor as well. It's the information that you get from the hand, is you know how they're going to crack back at you next turn. Also, so you can prep for you can prep for your defensive turn, or know how much value they're going to get out of their hand in comparison to what you can do next turn instead. So yeah, it's very, very good, and obviously it just devalues their whole turn anyway because you strip the best card away. So it's just very similar to Censor in that regard. So good segue there.
Yeah, I can definitely see like a Prism turn. You keep a 3-card hand. You have a blue, a Herald, and this, and so you play this, pitch your blue, and then come in with whatever Herald you sandbagged. Probably going to be a 2-drop. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Because, like, again, especially now that we know everything that Prism does, you can go pitch a blue to play this and then attack with your Herald. Then you can get a Figment and potentially awaken. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to attack. So I think what you were saying, like sometimes it will be better to just leave it in play, but
Yeah.
like that is a line that is available to you.
Yeah. And all of the Figments have like an on-enter effect, so like you'll get whatever
Yeah.
effect of the whatever Figment that you got. So
Yeah. So I think that this card is very good. I think specifically in Dromai, I think it's just an auto include. I think that this card is like absolutely bonkers in Dromai.
I think it's like kind of nuts in Dromai because like you take a card, it's a red go again, so it gives all your dragons go again. It costs 1, so like that's actually kind of a good thing because it forces you to pitch a card, so you'll pitch it something, so you'll generate your ash. Like I think this is just like bonkers in Dromai actually. Like it's just crazy good. Yeah.
It's super weird too because again, specifically in Dromai, it is kind of better that it costs 1 than if it would cost 0. Because having ways to generate ash, from my understanding of the deck at least, is actually like very important.
Yes.
Because if you just get into a situation where you can't pay for anything, then you just also can't do anything with your turns. So the fact that this costs 1 is randomly actually also good.
I mean, that's like one of the big reasons why like Royal Dromai is like a thing because you get your gold and then you can pitch into the gold so you can get your ash. So like, I don't know.
So anyway, I really like this card. The more I think about it, the more that I like it, and I love cards like that where you just keep thinking about them in just different situations, or you just parse the ability again. Like sometimes I just have to read through something 3 or 4 times to really get it, and it seems like such a simple effect, but I think it has a really powerful effect on the game. Anyway, that's my spiel.
This card's gonna ruin my turns as Uzuri. Like I'm gonna have my
Fantastic.
one. Well, it's gonna ruin your turns too, Mr. Azalea player, because I'm gonna it's in the same way because I'm gonna have my one haymaker and then like some stealth cards, and they're just gonna take my haymaker. Then I have like 3 crappy stealth cards, and I'm like, well, damn. Like they're gonna do that. They're gonna do that for Azalea too. You could have like 3 buffs and an arrow, and they're gonna be like, go away, arrow, and you're like, well, damn.
No way.
Yeah.
Speaking of, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of things going away.
Oh.
We have had a vital piece of breaking news. Bullseye Bracers is banned.
Yes.
What?
Yeah, as of like right now.
What?
Bullseye Bracers is banned.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Are you actually? You're not. You're kidding me.
No, I'm not.
The banned and restricted announcement popped up as we were talking.
Hold on. I need to look this up.
Yeah.
Bullseye Bracers?
Bullseye Bracers is banned. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone was like,
banned.
Everyone was like, oh, Voltaire's gonna get banned, and then they banned Bullseye Bracers. Okay.
Yeah.
And Bloodsheath Scalita went from we might unban this once Viserai goes away to fully banned. It is not coming back in season.
Dude, Skeleton would be
it would be mad.
Vomit-inducing levels of good with a Vincent. Like it would be Bullseye Brace.
Bullseye Bracers. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but as we were talking,
as we were talking,
there is an essay about it. Holy crap! I'm like looking at the reason, and there's like 8 paragraphs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's literally 8 paragraphs. I guess it is 8 paragraphs long.
Another thing I want to point out about this as well. In the last paragraph, this is written by Brian. He says the Azalea cult.
Yeah.
The thing that I founded should not find themselves returning to those dark pre-Outsiders days. So yeah, it's definitely something that hits Lexi. Obviously, it's a bit of splash effect to Azalea as well, but there are other things that she can use. Well, we might have to make use of something else. But
here's the thing: this is only a ban in CC. I play Lexi and Blitz, so this doesn't actually affect me at all.
Yeah. And also something interesting. They did say that it was banned, but as was saying in that last paragraph, it also says if the removal of Bullseye Bracers alongside the introduction of the new cards in Dusk Till Dawn were to have an unexpected impact on Ranger playability, there is a good chance we would revert this decision in a future banned and suspended announcement. I think that's the first time they've said that about a card that they straight up banned.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. You know what? Sure. That's my reaction to this. If they want, fine. Like,
Yeah.
What are you gonna run now? You're gonna run the Vambrace, like the legendary Vambrace?
You might just run
Hornet
Toxic
Sting.
Tips. Or
Toxic
Hornet
Tips,
Sting.
Hornet Sting, yeah. Well, Toxic Tips might be okay because it presents a non-hit effect, but
My face when you have to run Hornet Sting.
oh god, yeah, it probably will be Toxic Tips, really.
Yeah, you get to pick the Toxic Tips. Do you get to pick the, or is it only Blood Run?
You get to pick on hit, I think.
Yeah.
It's create
right.
one of the three, but you get to decide on hit.
I mean, that's not terrible.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of the reasons why is, you know, you can just put something into your arsenal for 0 cost and come in for 5. You know, it's a 0 for 5 essentially, isn't it? You know, Endless Arrow or something like that. And I think that's, you know, it's one of the points they make on there is the Endless Arrow loop. But hey ho, just thought of something to bring it up while we're live. While it's breaking news.
Like. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to read the whole thing to see their thoughts, but I'm like, yeah, Azalea's like good, Lexi's good, but it's not like they're rolling in Living Legend points, right? Like none of them are even close to hitting Living Legend. Like they're not even winning events. They're like getting top 8, but they're not even like winning. They're not converting. Like I don't know. Like whatever. I guess the people complaining have won. Rangers just can't have nice things. Can't have nice things, Rangers.
Never.
Yeah, as I said, there's a massive article on it. It's out now. I just thought I'd bring it up because obviously it's a piece of hot news while we're live recording this. You'll hear this on Wednesday, of course. But yeah, the article's up, so you can go and have a read if you want to go into the nuances of it all. But
I thought you were joking
I believe...
when you said that. I'm like, yeah,
no.
I'm like, you
just that pure British sarcasm. He's like, he's fucking with me. No,
I'm like, Ash he just picked a random Ranger card to say it's banned. I'm like, yeah, of course. You just pick, yeah, of course, yeah. Of course, bullseye bracers are banned. Ooh, what next? You're gonna ban Skullbone Cross Wrap? Oh yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Oh.
Bizarre.
Another really horrible thing is that it's a piece of AB that we always have. We always have AB2 because of Skullbone and Bullseye, and now it's gone. We don't have that. We have AB1 constantly now, which sucks ass.
Completely honest, like Ranger gloves, other than that, all suck. Like they're not great. Like you're running like a random common card, basically, right?
Pretty much. Yeah, like, that's it.
Like Rune Blades have like Grasp of the Arknight and like Vexing Quillhand, and Rangers are like, I got Hornet Sting, block for 1. See if I deal you 1. Nope. Like what the hell? Like what the actual hell? All right, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, this is interesting as well because like I'm going to be playing in the calling in Birmingham in a few weeks, and obviously I was been playing to my heart's content with Bullseye Bracers being available, and now that's not the case. So yeah, I'm gonna have to change it up and just see what else can be done, and maybe change your deck even a little bit as a result because it's not there on board to put something into your arsenal for free when you need it to be. So yeah, it's a strange one for sure. But
time for rapid fire Azalea. Let's go.
Here we go. Go wide.
Rapid fire Endless Arrow combo coming back from the Arcane Rising days. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. And another thing as well, just while we're on this, we will finish off the top 5 cards each eventually. It's going to be a longer one, obviously, as we know. But what was I going to say? I completely forgot what I was going to say. Damn it. Completely lost my train of thought. I'm sure it will come back to me in a moment. Yeah, never mind. I've lost it. We'll just go on to our next cards. I've completely lost my train of thought.
Well,
yeah,
sorry.
That's all good. You were the next one up.
Yeah, lucky for you, Az. You're the next one.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Brilliant. So the next card on maybe that's what I was trying to transition to in the first place.
Maybe.
Maybe I was trying to segue and I'm like, where are we going with this? Oh yeah, I'm the next person. Right. So Lumina Lance is my next one.
Ooh, baby. I like this one.
So this looks absolutely awesome. This might be the character on like E-Strike and Celestial Cataclysm and stuff. The same godlike, cloud-like Zeus figure.
What's super interesting about that is I was kind of going over a lot of the Monarch cards, and I read the flavor text on Celestial Cataclysm, and It's really interesting. It's Prism making just kind of like this statement about how how legends evolve over time, where a hero with a spear fighting against a tyrant turns into a godly figure laying waste to an empire.
All
And
right.
then it has the figure with the lightning spear, and I'm like, oh, that's just kind of super interesting how they put it in context. Like, it made me think like maybe this
Yeah.
character isn't real, but we've seen this character in a lot of stuff, like Art of
We have.
War, E-Strike, all this kind of like this Zeus dude, bearded toga man.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
And this is one of those cards that will look great in foil as well because of the lightning. Now the lightning is normally the stuff that's foiled, right? Like in
Yeah.
stuff like Inspire Lightning on the old sort of Tales of Aria.
Lightning Claws. Ooh,
Or
that's
yeah,
a beautiful foil.
yeah. That's what I mean. Normally the sort of white streaks across the lightning are to the ones that's full foiled, and it just looks really, really nice, really pops. But yeah, this is a yellow pitch, 0 cost light attack reaction. Also blocks for 3, which is great. A reaction that blocks for 3 if needed. And it says additional cost to play this, banish up to 3 cards from your hero's soul. So obviously this can be used in Prism and Boltyn, but mainly it's a Boltyn card, I think. And then you can choose that many modes. Target light attack gets +2. Target light attack gets when this hits, draw a card, and then target light attack gets when this hits, it gets go again. And the great thing about this is obviously if you're playing with Boltyn, you can just use this attack reaction to buff up something, so it already gets go again if you have cards in soul.
Yep.
So you can choose the modes that sort of works for you. Or again, if you don't have cards in soul, as a result of banishing them all to play this card, you can give it when it hits, gets go again, when it hits, draw a card, etc. So you can still do a load of different utilitarian things. I like these cards that say you can do the multiple modes. It's very reminiscent of E-Strike and Art of War, as we were saying earlier, because it gives you multiple options. So I think this could be pretty good. And I just love the I love the utilitarian aspect of it mainly with the options on the card. So
Yep. This is another card that was on my 11 cards. In my initial list. It's super cool. I like it for the same reasons I like E-Strike. It has like it's modal. I really love modal cards, so they're very like versatile. And I think this one is like sometimes it's not even modal. You're just like I do all of them. +2 go again and draw, which is like nuts. Like +2 go again and draw a card is like kind of insane. For 0,
and it's another
it's yellow too.
Yeah, cost 0, yellow pitch, block 3, and also it's one of those things that in the late game, right? Boltyn's going to have loads of cards in soul, probably, and you just have to work around the fact that he could just literally play a Lumina Lance and get 6 over the top for nothing, for absolutely nothing, or he could draw a card when he hits, or he could get a go again when he hits. It's just one of those things that you have to remember now is similar to not Lumina Ascension, the other one, Beacon of Victory, is you can just banish X cards and you can deal X damage. It's just one of those things that Boltyn might have access to later on, which gives you those horrible. And Boltyn's already one of those characters that give you horrible blocking decisions. Because if you block with an attack action, it gets +1. If he's got Centauri Sabers, it gets another +1 or whatever. It's just one of these really awkward. I don't know how good it's going to be because I'm not an aficionado, but it's just going to be one of those cards that gives you more horrible decisions to make when you block. So yeah, I think it's going to be quite good.
I think it actually is going to be very good in New Prism too, because you don't have a ton of you don't have a ton of uses for the cards in your soul other than the times when you want to turn up your figments. And so if you're not turning up a ton of figments, you're just going to have a bunch of stuff sitting around in your soul. So this gives you a use for those cards, and it makes it so that your heralds are like nastier too, right? So you get the +2, you get to go again without having to use bad Luminaris, and then you get a draw card too. So like you can do some pretty nasty stuff, especially when the angels are all coming in for like 7+. So this makes it into like a 9. Pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't thinking about it from a Prism perspective, but yeah.
Herald of Erudition.
What was I going to say?
Becomes a 7 attack, draw 3, go again, which is it's so gross.
Oh god. Yeah.
I do think that this will have its spot in New Prism as well. It is just a very efficient way to give either your heralds or your angels go again. which I think will be really important for just how that deck
Yeah,
runs.
it does totally work with the angels. Holy crap, I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
Because it just says light attack. It doesn't even say attack action. You can pump the
So,
angels.
giving the angels go again on hit, like giving the new Soraya go again on hit is just okay. Cool.
It's all about erudition, man. Like new Sarai, drawing 3 cards from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bro.
I think that it will be good in Bolton. I think specifically because having the +2 and draw card, and then the +2 basically turning on the go again because of Bolton's ability. I think that those 2 are going to be really valuable, but I think that Prism is going to be able to utilize all 3.
It's gross. It's so gross.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of gross, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, like as said, it's just going to be something that looms over your opponent, like just another option for them to consider.
Yeah.
This is how you have insane turns with Prism, by the way. Like I was just thinking about it. So this is where you attack with big old dumb Herald. They don't pop it. They take it. You play this as a reaction whenever you want. Is instant, right? Or is it a reaction? It's reaction. Yeah. So you play it as a reaction. You give that go again, right? You draw a card, and then since it hit, goes into your soul. You go tutor for a Figment. Figment comes into play. You get the Figment effect. You get your chess piece effect. Flip your Figment for free since the thing already had go again. Then now you can attack with your stupid angel. Like this is like you can just like dumpster someone with this. And if it's like erudition, like Herald of Erudition into Soraya, you're just drawing like a million cards. Like,
oh my god, yeah.
Like that's like 5 cards drawn if they both hit. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, this card's pretty good.
Yeah, very excited for this Prism deck.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But yeah,
right, let's move on.
A great pick from Az. I think this card is really, really good.
Yeah,
I wasn't even thinking about it from a Prism perspective, and I hate it already. So I want to take that back. Lumina Lance is not on the list.
So we're gonna go from probably one of the most powerful cards in the set to one of the jankiest cards, because my next pick is Morlock Hill. All right.
Oh, sick.
Hear me out. Morlock Hill is the most flavorful card in the entire game. I love this card for that reason. Is it a playable card? Probably not. I don't know. It's probably awful, but it also might save you. Like, okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Morlock Hill. So, Morlock Hill is a warrior instant, 0 cost that pitches for 3. It says, the next time you would be dealt lethal damage this turn, you may banish specifically Minerva Themis from your hand or arsenal to prevent that damage. That's it. That's all it does. So it's an instant, pitches for blue, which is pretty cool. That if you have a Minerva in your hand or in your arsenal, then you play this and then you yeet your Minerva, and then you don't die for the turn. Well, you don't die from one source of damage for the turn. You can still die from other sources of damage. But once again, super, super flavorful. If you know the story of Morlock Hill, spoilers, Minerva doesn't make it out, though she might still be alive. I said this in the stream where we talked about the spoilers. If I don't see a body, they're not dead. So all we know is that she got sucked into Arathiel. So maybe she's just in there fighting demons, and she's going to come back and she's going to be jacked as hell. And she's going to be like, I've been slaying demons for 20 years or something. But basically, or maybe she just becomes an ember or something. I don't know how that works. But I love the flavor of this card. It reminds me of Ice Block from Hearthstone. This is Flesh and Blood's Ice Block. It's also Flesh and Blood's Karibo. So we're going to bring it back to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Bring back the Yu-Gi-Oh-ness. It turns Minerva Themis into a Karibo. What makes it not good is you need specifically this card and specifically Minerva. Like, it's not just like banish a card. It's just like you need both of them. Like the odds that you have both of these on the turn that your opponent is dealing you a lethal chunk of damage seems unlikely. Like it seems like a magical Christmas land situation. But it's so cool. This card's so cool. I don't care if it sucks. This card's cool. I don't care if you're never gonna do it. I don't care if some person has one story of the one time they did it. They've been playing it for like 2 years and they finally did it or something. It could be cool. Like, you could have some major blowouts where they're like pulverize you and you're just like, no blocks, Morlock Hill. Like, or they're like crippling Crippling Crush, no blocks, Morlock Hill, because it prevents all the damage too. Prevents all the damage.
It prevents the on hit. It prevents everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Because if it deals no damage, then it doesn't actually hit, and then you don't get the on hit. And then also, I'm going to bring it back into the PvE. This could be insane for PvE, where you just kind of like tank an absurdly huge hit. It reminds me of some cheese strats in old World of Warcraft. I played Rogue, and there was a cheese strat with I think it was Gruul and Gruul's Lair, where you could do like this high dodge build on Rogue, and then Gruul would just try to swing at you, and you'd Rogue tank, and you just dodge every massive hit. There was also another one with what is he called? He's the one in Ulduar. He's the secret boss in Ulduar. He's the Starcaller dude from Ulduar, and he did this thing called like collapsing star or something that would one-shot the whole party, but a rogue could survive the one-shot with like feign death, because feign death just makes you not die. Anyway, this reminds me of that, where you could like maybe break the game in like PvE, where maybe they have a timer and they're like, if you don't do it in time, then everyone takes 50 damage or something like that, and you're just like, haha, Morlock Hill. I don't die. So this card's like goofy and super flavorful, and that is why it's on my list. I like it. I like it a lot. The art's really cool.
Yeah.
Federico
When in doubt, just chuck Minerva Tempsis underneath the lethal damage.
Get in the. Yeah. You're not going to get this reference yet, but get in the tent, Minerva.
Oh, get in the tent.
Get in the tent. This is more like.
I thought you were gonna make an Evangelion reference.
Oh, you could do that too.
Minerva, get in the chasm.
Get in Arathiel, Minerva. Shut up, Minerva. Get in Arathiel. But yeah, no, I like it. That's my pick. That's my fourth.
I really like it too. It was this, and then the I forget what it's called. We had mentioned it previously in another episode. The one where people were like, "Oh, they're printing like cards that aren't good, like that aren't obviously good in this set," and that feels weird. It's like, I don't know, if they printed Genus. And they printed Silver Palms as a legendary. Like this is the spot where they get to print these types of cards. So I completely defend their right to do so.
The other thing about this too is like, it's not like a little wimpy effect either. Like if you can do it, it's a huge effect. Like it's like a game altering effect. It's like Regicide. This is like Regicide. Mm-hmm. It's like 100% like Regicide, because Regicide has this huge game altering effect that ends up being like a 3-block blue card, right? That you maybe attack at the end of the game, but most of the time you might just kill yourself with it. This card is big flavor win, might be terrible. Am I going to play it sometime in Flesh and Blood? No, maybe. PvE, I don't know.
So.
Yeah, if I play a warrior in either UPF or PvE, I'm probably running Morlock Hill in at least one copy.
Some people have been thinking about like this card in Kasai, because you already run Minerva in Kasai, like Blitz, like, and it's like a blue pitch card. So I'm like, maybe.
Yeah, sometimes it comes up.
But yeah, yeet Minerva like a Karibo. That's what this is. Oh yeah. Anyway, Bill, what you got? You got a Karibo? Another Yu-Gi-Oh reference?
God, I wish this thing looked like Karibo. We're getting into the last two, which I picked some Brute cards because I actually do like some of the Brute cards in this set. One thing that I'm upset about, just before I get into it, is I thought for a hot second, I was like, wait a minute, with all of this new Banish stuff, is it time for Berserk? Like, is it Berserk's time to shine? Berserk very specifically does not interact with like any of these new Shadow Brute cards. Because it cares about when you discard a card with 6 or more attack at random, and then you look at the top card of your deck, and if it's an attack with 6 or more, then you draw it. But all of these new ones, and I guess not this one, but one other card that I was thinking of specifically, they all just banish straight from your hand.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is not time for Berserk, but it is time for the Slithering Shadowpede, which is the art is bone chilling.
That was gross MFR, dude.
Oh god, yeah.
It is like a creepy crawly.
This is a Dark Souls boss territory kind of thing.
Yeah. But honestly, I think that this is kind of bonkers card for Levia. I think this card is really, really, really good. So what is it? It is Slithering Shadowpeed. It's majestic, so it only comes in red. It costs 1, attacks for 6, and does not have a block value. So we've seen brute cards like this before where they're all or nothing. You either attack for a bunch or you die because you can't block with this. This also has Blood Debt. And then the only line of text that it has other than Blood Debt is if this was banished from your hand this turn, you may play it from your banished zone. So I think that with all of the new cards that Levia is getting that specifically banish from hand, like I was kind of mentioning in that little preamble, having this be something that you can just attack. You can attack for 6 for 1 resource. So off of, you probably wouldn't be running Tunic in Levia, although sometimes you might, depending on what matchup you're seeing yourself in. Like Husk is really good, but you always have the option. Either way, being able to attack like a 1 for 6 that also eats a lot of buffs really effectively. Like even if you barraging beatdown, or there's another buff card that works really, really effectively with this. It's a 0 cost buff. I forget what it's called, unfortunately. It's a 0 cost shadow buff that banishes a card at random from your hand. And if the banished card has 6 or more attack, I think, then the next shadow or brute attack this turn that you attack with, it gains 5 attack for the red.
Putrid Stirrings, that one.
Yes. Yeah. So it's so with those 2 cards in your hand, you're able to play the buff because it costs 0. You banish the Slithering Shadowpeed from your hand, and then you're able to attack for 11 for 1 resource.
This is pretty good.
Off of just that. So
turns off
that
Blood Debt too because you banished a 6 attack. Sounds
it
pretty
also
good.
turns off Blood Debt. So yeah, I just think that it's like a really efficient way to play with the new way that Levia wants to do. Unfortunately, it doesn't work with the old sort of banish from your graveyard cost cards, because it only cares if you've banished it from your hand this turn. But I do think that the stat line of just a 1 for 6, that if you banish it as a cost, you can then use it as your attack, being sort of the like 2 things in that, in being the resource and the payoff, I think is really valuable. So I like this card. I like the art in that it makes me feel uncomfortable, but the art is very good in that way.
Yeah, this artist is Othon or Othan, always does like these really like dark style arts. Like yeah. Very good at
wild.
Very good at the shadow and the like rune blade stuff, basically.
The card you was referring to as well wasn't Putrid Stirrings, it was Shaden Scream. Yeah, so that's an additional cost to play it. Banish a random card, your next brute or shadow gets +5. Yeah, it's a 3 block as well, pretty good. I said something else, which was a rune blade card. I got confused, but just to correct it before the comments come after me, there we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're able to Shaden Scream into Slithering Shadowpeed, and you either have a resource floating, or like I said, if you're running Tunic, that's a really effective 1 cost, basically 0 hand 11.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is really nice, because a lot of these brute cards, especially buffs like that, usually sort of like almost eat themselves, because for like Tear Limb from Limb, you'd need to discard a card from your hand, and you might just discard the card you want to attack with.
Yeah.
But like for this, if you banish this card, that's
Pretty
perfect. That's exactly what you want.
Interesting.
So yeah, I just think that it's a really good design. And
it is really interesting with Tear Limb from Limb, huh?
Yeah.
This also slot into Ian's Razor Reflex Brute deck, because it's a 1-drop.
Yeah.
You could Razor Reflex. His Razor Reflex it.
Give it go again.
his Razor Reflex Talishar Brute deck. Anyway,
I don't know. Just
fun
it's
times.
A 1 for 6. That's just a good stat line.
Yeah.
All right, Az. What you got as your number 4 pick?
Sweet. Yeah. So these weren't in any particular order either, were they? These lists, they were just 5 cards, no random order. So yeah, just going off of the shadow, just leaning into the shadow conversation still. This is Dimensional Vortex is the next one.
Yeah.
just thought it was just really bizarre. 'Cause it's similar to like Gorganian Tome, isn't it? Where you haven't got a pitch value, you haven't got a attack, you haven't got any defense. It just does a thing when you play it.
Yeah.
It costs 3 to play, but if you play it from your banished zone, and you can play it from your banished zone, it costs 2 less, so it can cost 1. And it just says each hero banishes a card from their arsenal. So if they've been sat on their arsenal for something for a while, it's obviously means that they're going to be saving that for something. But also with regards to both Shadow Runeblade and Shadow Brute, you want to be banishing things from your arsenal sometimes, to either play them or get various effects or what have you. And some things can, other things that are in your arsenal, or whatever, can be also played from the banished zone. So it's not really a downside for you if you're playing this. But I also think don't know whether there's too many ways, because once you play this, it goes into your graveyard. Is there ways? I think there are a few ways actually in Levia where you can banish this from your graveyard to pay for an effect, and therefore you can then play it again out of your banished zone, and therefore it goes to your graveyard again. So it can just keep looping round, I believe.
Yes, because you have the brute cards that are like banish 3 cards from your graveyard.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can it keeps cycling through, and you can banishing the cards from their arsenal all the time, and also banishing your own stuff perhaps to use it. But yeah, I think it's just quite an interesting card.
Yeah,
I think
I like
this
it.
is the first just uninteractive kill your arsenal sort of card that we have. Everything else is like your opponent either has some way like they can block it, or there's like the freeze cards where you can, I think, pay for it. But I think this is maybe the first instance of just straight up your arsenal is gone and I don't want you to have it. So I think I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, so for other heroes as well, it just simply just banishes the card. They can't get it back, So if I've got a nice little red in the ledger in there and you banish it away, I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to be able to codex that out later on. It's gone. So yeah, that's another interesting point. It's similar to what I've picked on this list. It's just something that said destroy target aura. This just says each hero banishes a card from their arsenal. So where I'm going with majority of my cards, just targeted removal, baby. So channeling that Damia Sage of Stone EDH deck. Anyway,
this is well. Speaking of EDH, this tells you a lot about how I think about things. I think this card is sweet for UPF. Just eat everyone's arsenal. Be like,
exactly. Look at that segue. Brilliant.
Get wrecked. Just eat everyone's arsenal. Because I like in 1v1 like in competitive, eat their arsenal. Sorry, my mic is like cutting out. I don't know.
Oh my god, brilliant.
But I like in 1v1, I'm not sure if this is like very good. Like it might be, but like it doesn't have go again. So like this is like either the one thing you do on your turn or the last thing you do. But if you're doing it from hand, you gotta dump out the 3 resources. From Banner Zone, it's like a little bit easier. But like we've had really good cards that you could play from Banish Zone that don't have go again, and that make them really bad. So like the tome, right? The book that's like a 0 cost draw card. You can play it from Banner Zone. Blood Debt. No one plays that card because it doesn't have go again. Like so, it doesn't do anything. Like even with Chain, it's just like you have better things to do. So this card, I don't know. I think it's cool though. Like that's the thing. This card's super cool, and I definitely want to play this in UPF. I will literally play this in UPF at some point. Like it will get into a deck. So
gotcha.
That's
I don't know how efficient it's going to be, or whether it's going to see much play really. But it's just an interesting effect, and the fact that it can just cycle through your graveyard and banish zones, multiple times. It's just quite cool. But yeah, that's my number 4.
Alrighty, back to me. Speaking of UPF, my final card is a UPF card, in my opinion. We are talking about Warmonger's Diplomacy. So this is a weird card. I mean, like a lot of the cards we picked are kind of weird. This is a 0-drop generic action blue pitch card that blocks for 3. That's not too bad of stats. Also does not have go again. It says, starting with the hero to your left, each hero chooses war or peace. if they choose war, the only actions they may play or activate during their next turn are weapon and attack actions. That means you can't do any other. You can still do instants, by the way. Instants are not actions, but you can't do like your hero ability if it's an action. You can only attack or do an attack action. And then if they choose peace, the only actions they may play or activate during their next turn are non-weapon, non-attack actions. So basically this says to classes like Runeblade and Ranger, like, pick one. You can only do one. And it's every player in order. Like, you just do it in order. I like this card. This card's sweet. This is not as good as this rounds on me because people don't get to draw cards, but it's similar for me. It's like a similar thing, and it's more nasty because like it's more of like a group slug than a group hug kind of deal. It's like everyone gets screwed. Have fun, yay! For some heroes, it's not going to do anything. For some heroes, you just choose war and then you pitch 9 and play your giant guardian thing that has dominate or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But against other ones like Runeblade, get absolutely wrecked. Like, good luck doing your non-attack attack, go against shenanigan stuff. And then same with Rangers, like Lexi. You can maybe shoot 2 arrows, and then that's it. There you're done. So I like it. It's cool. UPF, play it in UPF. In 1v1 in CC, maybe sideboard tech against the classes I just said, but other than that, probably not. It does block 3. It's a blue card too, but it doesn't have go again. It's an action. So
yeah, I reckon it might have some utility in TC, perhaps, but it's still a blue block 3, and it can really hose someone's turn, like Lexi's or Runeblades, for instance. It can sort of hurt them to a certain degree.
This pairs very well with Kodachis. It does go well with Kodachis because like in every respect, because you can like pitch it for Kodachis, you can block, but then you can also like Kodachi, blah blah blah, ninja stuff, and then play it at the end.
And then it's on your next turn, if you just pick war, then you can still activate your Kodachis and you can still attack.
Chop. Yeah.
Like, that's pretty good.
And like I said, it does not affect instants. So like Voltaire, you're good with Voltaire. And you can still play your other instants. You can play Art of War. So you can like Art of War into some attacks. Like that works. But cool. I like this card. I think it's cool. And this is what I like. So that's my 5th and final pick. Weird diplomacy card that I'll probably play in my Valda UPF deck.
Weird and wonderful, baby.
It's perfect in Valda, by the way. Like, it's so good because I just pick war. I'm just gonna smash you with my one big attack.
And of course you are. Yeah, exactly.
And it's a blue pitch card that blocks for 3. So like that's what I want to do. So
just loving life.
Yeah. Like you could do a turn where you just like, this round's on me, and then play this, and it's just like everyone gets to draw a card, but also you only get to do one thing.
That's nasty. That's horrible.
Yeah, UPF. Oh, I want to play some more UPF. Post. Oh, dude, we should. This is a live suggestion. Post Dusk Till Dawn. We should do like a UPF game. Stream it. I don't know. I don't care, but it'd be really fun because there's some really cool stuff in this set.
I'd be.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it. We're gonna do it. We need another person. Ian.
Do it
Jim,
now.
Steven, we'll get someone.
Yeah. We got
absolutely. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so before my final one, I also do have an honorable mention just because I really wanted to highlight these. There's a common equipment set that's coming out as well, and they're the pieces of darkness. So there's the Shroud of Darkness, the Cloak, the Grasp, and the Dance of Darkness. So one for each piece of your equipment. They all have the same text. They all have blood debt, and they also have, if your hero would be dealt damage, you may banish this to prevent 2 of that damage. So up front, it's just a block 2 of any variety. It works on physical and arcane. It is free in order to do so. Obviously, the downside is the same as Carrion Husk, where you start to then sort of bleed out as the game goes on. But I think that this like upfront block 2 can really ruin people's day.
It's if you have all 4, it's a block 8. which is you're probably never gonna do that outside of Commoner. Commoner could be cool. But you can just be like, the tempo is all mine. Block 8, keep my hand, smash you, like kind of thing.
Like like 2 is just such a good amount to block for, and the fact that it's block physical, or like I said, it's like spell void as well. Like it's either or. I think that's like really cool. I think these are really flexible. I think they're great for Commoner, and they're great as just like a budget option to just stop that one on hit that would change the game for you, and then pull back the tempo. So I think those are really cool. I just wanted to highlight those as really good design for common equipment.
And they look rad as hell. I watched one of the only box openings, and they pulled the chest piece in cold foil, and it looked super cool. Even though it's just a cold foil common, looks really cool. This is my style. This is my vibe, you know, because it's very like rogue assassin-y kind of vibe. They've got like the hood and the mask, and it's just like, it looks cool.
Yeah, it's like a magical rogue.
Yeah.
Reminds me of the shadow set, or was it maybe the dark set in Dark Souls? One of those. But yeah, it looks awesome. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's cool.
So anyway, big fan of those. But then finally, my last actual pick is another piece of equipment. This one is a legendary, and it's the Brute head equipment, and it is called Scowling Flesh Bag.
Sounds like an insult.
Yeah, just a great name. And also, personally, I think a great piece of equipment. It is very simple. It has 2 lines of text that are one is 4 words and the other is 2. The 2-word one is Blade Break, and it also blocks for 2. And then the 4-word phrase is when this defends, intimidate. So of course, for those of you who are not in the know, target hero banishes a card face down at random from their hand. At the beginning of the end phase, return it to its owner's hand. So most, if not all, of the intimidate that Brute has gotten so far has been proactive intimidate. It is only during your own action phase, so it prevents your opponent from blocking effectively. This allows you to intimidate your opponent on their turn while they are attacking you.
I hate this card.
Same.
This stupid card is gonna ruin me, man. As was shaking his head, and I was like, I know why. Because like for me, like as a Uzuri player, I attack with my stealth card. You throw this stupid thing in to block the stealth card, and you make me banish. You intimidate my big thing, and I'm just like, okay, I guess I don't have a turn.
And that can very much happen because this triggers during the defense step, the defense part, and not the reaction step.
Yep.
So like that is so relevant. I think that this sort of plays into the idea that I was thinking with Lost in Thought and why I like that card so much. Like it's disruption that really messes with your opponent's. Like they have a plan, they're doing a thing, and then all of a sudden you just hit the one card they needed you to not hit for them to like either kill you or to do their cool like the remainder of their turn. Like it just trips them up. It blocks for 2, which is already a great thing that you want on most headpieces. Honestly, I think that this, I mean, obviously specifically in Brute, but I think this gives Crown of Providence a run for its money.
Dude.
Like actually, I think that there is now an option. You pick either or. It is not just Crown of Providence is better. This card is really good.
I think it's crazy. I think it's insanely good because like the fact that it intimidates for like, you know, the way intimidate works is they don't get it back until the end of the turn, right? So like not only are they stuck with that card in their hand, like if they didn't, you know, if they wanted to get rid of it by attacking or whatever, but it also completely wrecks their turn because it could hit the one card that they want to play, but it could also hit the resource card that they want to pitch, right? It could just mess up their turn so much. And the fact that it's random is just like, that's what makes it like gross. It makes it gross as hell. It also makes instants way more valuable. So I'm like thinking about this in terms of Uzuri, that's pretty rough. But in terms of Lexi, it's actually not that bad because you do this and then you block with this. And I think it puts the intimidate trigger like on the stack, right? Like you have the intimidate effect. And so you can respond to that. So as a Lexi player, what I would do is then I would respond to it with Voltaire as an instant to then put my arrow into my arsenal so I could still use it. But like for Azalea, good luck. Good luck.
Yeah, it's not very nice at all, really.
Well, I mean, I guess you're gonna
Nice.
play your buffs ahead of time.
Yeah. So it's
But-
like it's better against decks that want to go wide.
For sure. Yeah.
Obviously, like you want to,
Or
it only
reaction-
really
reactions.
does stuff. Yeah, or
Mhm.
reactions. So it works like you were saying, Cal, like against Azuri pretty well, I would say.
It's real
Because
good.
normally,
yeah.
normally you're like pitching a card and then you're attacking with your one stealth card, and you have one card left in your hand, and that's the one you want to swap.
You can't,
And you just go, okay, Scowling Flesh Bag. God,
you
dang
can't
it.
you can't do it with a 2-card hand. You just can't. It's just like
Which is crazy because then it does. You don't even have to. Oh, this is the type of design that I love in Flesh and Blood. I've said this a million times, but it's the type of design that changes the way that your opponent has to play the game without even using it. Like if you are the Azuri and you have a 2-card hand and it's a stealth card and attack, and you're staring down a Scowling Flesh Bag, you just can't attack. Like you just can't do the thing that you want to do.
you basically you basically have to set up a turn where you force them to use it, but still aren't blown out. So because luckily the stupid thing has Blade Break, so like you can only do it once. You can't do it twice or some.
God, imagine if this thing had temper.
Oh my god, that would be so disgusting. So like as a Uzuri player, you probably want to set up where you have either redundant power cards or where you can do like a 50-50 if you have like a stealth card in arsenal and then a power card plus another card in hand, where you go attack from arsenal, gamble, like just kind of force them to do it. But it definitely you have, this is a card you have to pay attention. You can't just be like, I ignore your ignore your equipment, whatever. You have to be like, this can blow you out, basically.
And the fact that it is like, I think that as well, the fact that it just sits in play, and even just the art is like a Pitts shaman, like just mean mugging somebody.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what this card does. You're just staring. It's just staring at your opponent, being like, I dare you.
Damn Scowling Flesh Bag.
Yeah.
Scowling Flesh Bag.
Make me intimidate you. So yeah. And it's such a simple card. It does 2 things, and none of them are complicated, but it is so, the implications. So good.
What gets me the most is that the people I play against, out of everyone I play against, everyone has like their preferences, and I play against Ian a lot, and I'm gonna play against this card so much, like so much. Oh my god, dude, I'm just this is gonna be blocked like against me like hundreds of times. Like I could just see it. So like I said, I kind of hate this card. I think it's very good. Yeah.
You're just gonna see this image when you go to bed at night of the Scowling Flesh Bag just looking into your eyes.
There's gonna be situations where I'm like, all right, I got to gamble here. Like I have 2 cards in my hand. If he intimidates one, I'm fine. If he intimidates the other one, I have no turn. Attack. He intimidates the one that like it's good. Pass turn kind of deal. I'm like,
yeah,
like
it's exactly what you said. It's exactly what you said as well, Bill. Like it changes the thought process of your opponent without even you doing anything either, because they have to then play around it, even though you haven't even decided to block with the card yet. They have to think of what happens if he does this, you know. So
and it's like, you know, you're like, oh well, you know, you could make your opponent do it by attacking with the stealth card, and then they block, and then whatever, and then it's like, okay, well, you get the card back at the end of your turn if you. I think it happens before you arsenal.
It happens.
This is kind of the first time this interaction will have come up.
So it does happen before you arsenal, because it's worded the same way as a ponder token.
Yeah,
it says at the beginning of the end phase. So that's when a ponder token pops, is at the beginning of the end phase. So you could arsenal it, right? So you could get it back and then arsenal it. Yeah.
But then your power card is arsenaled. So you can then be like, well, I don't want to like risk not getting a power card. So then you keep it in your hand, and then you're 1 card down.
Yeah, well, depends on the card. So if it's like play what do you call it? Death touch, like then you're fine. You can arsenal your death touch and you're good. But
yeah, and obviously this is like just against Azuri, but there are other situations where this would still come up and be relevant. Anyway, like
Yeah, I would like to say though that even though I hate this, I'm gonna hate this card as an Uzuri player. I actually really like the design. This is one of the cards that really caught my eye when I was like, look, when spoiler season was rolling out, and I'm like, that's super cool. It's like an intimidate on your opponent's turn. It's like this like defensive intimidate, which I think is just super cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna ruin me.
Clean design.
Yeah,
big fan.
Yeah. Good against ninjas too. Like really good against ninjas. Good against rune blades. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it also like even on like a smaller scale, like if like a rune blade, right? They go like a non-attack into an attack, and then you block with this and get rid of their last card. Like they can't attack you with the Rosetta Thorn or whatever if they don't have the reresources to play it. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, it's got like a collapsing trap feel to it, hasn't it? Because it's the same thing. You discard your hand and draw that many -1, so you're one card down. Plus your strategy for that turn is completely done because you don't know what you're going to discard or banish in this case. So yeah, decent card.
All right, Az.
Very cool. But yeah, Az, you're up
Fantastic.
now.
Is your final card as revolting as the Scowling Flesh Bag?
It really is. Yeah. I'm gonna Photoshop my face in the scowling flesh bag and just burn that into people's minds for the rest of their life. Anyway,
do it.
Ending on a Bolt-in card here because Bolt-in is one of the other characters that got a lot of support per se in this set. Now I'm not a Bolt-in aficionado, so people in the comments and people that are Bolt-in mains can give us the main sort of juice behind whether this is good or not. But Prayer of Bologna is my pick here. It's a yellow, which Bolton seems to care about. Obviously on this card as well, it cares about yellow. Cost 1, blocks for 3, so across the board, nice. Yellow block 3 is good. Your next attack gets +2 this turn, which is nice. Turns on Bolton's, greater than its base and all this sort of thing for the go again if you banish from Soul. And then it says reveal top card of your deck. If it is yellow, which probably will be in this Bolton deck, put it into your hand, then charge your hero's Soul. So this is something that we brought up before Dusk Till Dawn released about how to potentially fix Bolton is charging from the top of the deck. Essentially, this is what it wants to do. You draw a card, your card that you're charging is replaced. Because charging a card is so intensive to do, I think we need more. The reason I brought this up is because I think we need more things like this for Bolton to be able to charge from the top of the deck.
Yes, 1 billion%. This was like the thing that I was like, this is what Bolton needs to not be like miserable to play as. Like you need to be able to charge from somewhere that's not your hand, so it doesn't like just give you like horrible card like disadvantage, right? And they did it. I was actually kind of hoping they'd put it on like a piece of armor though, where you can just do it more often. But I don't know. This feels like a must play 3 of for all Bolton decks. Like how do you not play this? Yeah, this seems insane.
So I can't wait to see what the Bolton players and the Bolton mains do with Bolton with all this support, because I'm not a Bolton aficionado. I can't evaluate all the cards like they would do if they play the hero every day. But yeah, it seems like he's got a lot of good stuff. So I'm interested to see what Bolton does going forward. So just thought I'd end on this one.
And also, you remember you were speculating that Bolton, like the Bologna would be like a Bolton specialization, but instead of that, you got a Bologna specific Bolton card. So you don't get Bologna herself, because that's a Prism thing, I guess. But you get some Bologna powers, basically.
Yeah. I thought it would make sense that Bolton would have either a specialization or a set of cards that were Bologna themed, and essentially that's what we got here. So good remembering there. That's what I said. Yeah, that's right.
Did Bolton get a specialization in this set? Like, I don't think he. Oh no, maybe he did. Maybe I'm misremembering card.
Let's see.
I might be misremembering
actually.
Card. I mean, Bolton did get the Prayer of Arena before, so you got that legendary one in Dynasty.
I don't think so. No, I don't think he did get one. But there's a lot of cards with Bolton's art on. Obviously, he's got the Banneret of Courage. He's got Spirit of War. This card, it's all got him on it. So
Yeah.
No specialization though.
Interesting.
But yeah,
Technically, we
That's
haven't seen all of the set.
we haven't. No.
Yeah,
But-
there's still one legendary and
Yeah.
a what seems to be a cycle of rare equipment. People are kind of thinking.
There's the majestic Meep card that we've seen. I don't remember if it was a leak or if it was just from one of the box openings, but I've seen a screenshot of the Meep card. Bill's gonna step away for just one moment, so it's just gonna be Az and I here. But yeah, we'll talk about the other cards in a future date. There's only, like I said at the start of the show, we've seen like 98% of the set. There's only a couple things. So I think this is a very good indication of our top 5 cards. Though, who knows? Maybe the legendary that we haven't seen yet is like absolutely insane. I don't think it's going to be
absolute. Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a shadow card. I think it's going to be a shadow legendary because currently we already have a bunch of like light legendaries. Like, so we have the illusionist, legendary illusionist hat. We have the Bolton chess piece. We have the legendary Bolton like light warrior chess piece. We have the legendary light illusionist chess piece. We have the legendary Runeblade chess piece. We have a lot of chess pieces in this.
There's a lot of chest in the set.
Yeah, it's very chesty set.
Very chesty.
Yeah. What are the other legendaries? Oh, we have Levia.
Also very chesty.
And then the brute hat. A lot of very chesty. And then the brute hat. So is that all of them? I thought there was 8. I think I might be missing the 7th one. But in any case, I think we're due another shadow one, like either like just a straight up shadow one. So
yeah, I think so.
We'll see, because I think each class got one. Oh no, the one I'm missing is the warrior gloves. Yeah, there's the warrior gloves. The
Iron Song versus.
Yeah, so it's not like a light warrior, it's just regular warrior. So we're missing a one that is either, it's got to be a shadow something, like shadow Runeblade or shadow brute or just a shadow one. It's gonna be that. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm hoping it's a cool one. Maybe gloves, hat. If we're gonna go by the Dusk Till Dawn conventions, it's either gonna be a chess piece or a hat.
I think so. Yeah, and it's definitely confirmed that there's one left to be revealed. One legendary left.
Because there's 8 in the set, and I think I just went over all 7. Right.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So probably shadow in some form, because we've already had we've had 4 light and or light adjacent classes, and we only have 3 for the shadow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, curious to see what it is. I was hoping one of the box breakers would open it up, but as far as I know, they haven't. So,
well, I'm aware of, no.
That's actually pretty cool. Yeah. That's actually very exciting. So, coming up into, as we kind of like wrap this episode up, we will have a viewer. I don't know if it's a question. We'll have a viewer email here in a second, but we are coming up to the Dusk Till Dawn pre-release, which is actually Monarch Draft with Dusk Till Dawn prize support. So the way my locals are doing it, and I've already signed up, I will be attending, is that everyone who does the draft and participates in all the rounds, you get 2 Dusk Till Dawn packs no matter what for free. Like not for free, but like as part of like the entry. So I will be doing a 2-pack Dusk Till Dawn opening on the channel next weekend. But I don't know, maybe we'll see what the final legendary is during that weekend. There's going to be some packs cracked, so
yeah, it's probably going to be revealed that weekend, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah. Oh, and then one other thing regarding release weekend. So we have pre-release weekend coming up, and then release weekend. I have Brian Gottlieb on the docket coming on the podcast near release weekend, and same deal as before. He's going to come on, and we're going to talk about, well, whatever you want to talk about regarding Dusk Till Dawn. So we're going to do some question solicitation. You can either ask the questions via our, this is what you call segue, via our new email, where you can send us your questions, or you can send us your questions at any of our Twitters. I will be making a Twitter post asking for questions, or our Discords. I know folks do that for Az's Discord as well as the Red Zone Rogues Gallery Discord. So
Yeah.
we'll solicit questions in about a week or so. Yeah, hopefully we'll have that podcast up shortly after Dusk Till Dawn officially launches. So
Sweet.
yeah,
Sounds good.
and then speaking of the
But
aforementioned email, as
absolutely, yes.
friend.
So we've got a mailbox this week. Obviously, it's just a little segment on the end where we read out listener questions, stories, comments, and concerns, and all that good stuff. And this week comes from JM, which I believe Bill might know.
Yeah, Jay's friend of the podcast, we'll say.
Okay.
Absolutely. So long-time listener, first-time emailer. I was catching up on the podcast today and caught your email comment, which obviously we're referring to the call for questions and comments at the end of the episodes. I listened to 3 episodes in a row today, and you got me through a 10 km run.
Damn.
I was only planning on doing 5k. Well done.
Yeah, dude.
Firstly, a comment. I'm starved for a fun, casual format. On that note, please, Chaff Goblin League or other roguelike format. I will eagerly await my invite.
Chaff Goblin's really fun. If you don't know what Chaff Goblin is or haven't played it before, you basically take a pile of chaff. Best not know what it is, so like just shuffle some up if you want to make your own chaff. But then you just kind of like shuffle it up into a deck. You have a Chaff Goblin, which can play any kind of thing. You have a stick, which is a terrible weapon, but it's a stick, and it acts like anything. So it counts as a bow, counts as whatever type of weapon. So you can like pummel you with your stick or whatever. And that's it. You just do that, and you can play any card. It's jank and fun. Chaff Goblin.
Yeah,
I've streamed it like 2 or 3 times. So
yeah, it's a fun thing. So maybe a Chaff Goblin League he's calling for. Secondly, a question for Bill. Here we go. How did it feel being pummeled by that handsome lad during the Azalea Gauntlet?
Well, to answer that, it was soul crushing. Thank you for asking. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Jay has been featured on the Spike Feeders Fab YouTube channel that I do, and he played against me as I was running Azalea through a Goliath Gauntlet. And for those of you who haven't seen the episode, you should definitely watch it because it's a pretty short one. But largely what it came down to was me weighing my options and calculating the best probability of me to win, and then realizing very quickly that I am horrendous at math. So yeah, you should definitely check that out. Jay, thank you for being a cool dude and for being the one to pummel, because most other people wouldn't rub it in my face quite this much, but only you. Only you.
Love it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And he finishes by saying, finally, keep doing what you're doing, you absolute legends. Yours truly, JM, adjunct professor, Department of Shadow from the FAB University.
The Monastery Division.
Yeah. No, but there was actually a little while ago, I realized that what I wanted to do was a little bit too far past my own abilities. But I wanted to do, like he sort of mentioned, a Chaff Goblin League or other roguelike format. I wanted to do like a roguelike league for Chaff Goblin, where depending on what you do or how you do, you get like the ability to add cards to your deck from randomly chosen from a pool. And I think that would be like pretty fun just because I really like roguelikes in general. But I think the only way that I could make it work is if it was a digital thing. Because then you'd have to have your specific pools of like equipment or attacks and whatever, and then you kind of have to tier them based on their relative power level. Because obviously if you just keep getting a bunch of plunder runs, then you're just gonna win because that card's crazy. But in general, like casual type formats I think are great. Something that is a little bit of a sneak peek for anybody who is also a fan of the Spike Feeders Fab YouTube channel. At some point, we are going to be doing a live UPF game
Nice.
And
Ooh.
Jay, I've confirmed, and Jay would kill me if this wasn't the case, but Jay is going to be featuring as one of the seats in that. So
Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah.
yeah, so we will be doing some casual stuff at some point. At the very least, that. So
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, and it's
Look-
one of those parts of the game that is going to be growing. You know, the more and more card pool gets added, the more and more we're going to be able to support these kinds of things, isn't it? As well. So
absolutely, just the more options to play a non-optimized deck that
yeah,
can still do things instead of just playing a lower powered version of a deck, because you don't want to play the the highly optimized rune blade that has swarming gloom veils and all that stuff. Instead,
Yeah.
you can play a sub strategy. You could play like what is it, impending doom?
Yeah.
The aura that turns all of your rune chants into 2 damage. That's kind of
Yes.
cool.
looming
Okay.
doom. Yeah.
So
Looming doom.
Mm.
Ian and I have discussed something that we will probably do, and I think it would be awesome if you guys joined us. So, Ian, so basically, we were talking about the budget deck tech that I did. I set myself a goal of $100 or less. I ended up making an $80 deck, and I thought it was really good. And so Ian proposed that we do that, but with less money. And so we do like a deck building challenge where we have a budget. Ian suggested 40, but I want to half that. I think we could have a fun $20 deck building challenge. And we'll like say like, you know, we'll stipulate what market we're using to figure out what the cards are valued at or whatever. We'll standardize it across all the things. But I think it'd be really cool because that's where you can use the really jank bulk majestics that are like 10 cents or like 20 cents or whatever, and you can still make a deck that has like all these kind of like weird but sort of powerful cards. And I think it would be a lot of fun. And yeah, I think CC would be pretty funny. So you have these decks, but you still have to go through the paces. It's not just like wombo combo blitz kind of thing. So if you guys would be interested, let me know, and maybe we can put something together. I think it would be a lot of fun. And then we could do like a thing. I don't know if it's a live stream.
You could just do like a little. You could just do like a little league. I think it would make similar to the videos you put out for the LSS channel. You could do like a little league between the all four players.
Yeah, I was thinking either one live stream that would take a long time, or two because like live stream you'd have two people playing and then 2 people commenting like as like you know what the loading ready run called like table friends, just kind of like chatting. But we could also do like a gameplay series where you have each person presents their deck. Like you'll be, oh, this is my deck. This is one I built. Blah blah blah. But then everyone plays against everyone else in a match, right? So if we have 4 people playing,
so it's like a round. It's like a round robin. So each player plays each player once, and then you go from there. Yeah,
just kind of like a fun little Swiss thing, and so you can see how the decks play out. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like just a fun way to play Flesh and Blood, where you don't really have to worry about the budget or anything, and you can play with the cards like the Rune Champ Pumper thing, and you know,
I think that's what I mean. I think budget restricted Flesh and Blood could be a good format to explore because you're then forced to use and make decisions as to what value you want to put in the cards.
And it doesn't restrict your archetypes all that much like Commoner or other formats like that do, because like for Commoner, for example, it's really hard to make like a Viserai like Rune Chant OTK deck because there's not very many Rune Chant generators that are common. A lot of them are rare or higher. You have like your Read the Runes, but after that it's like drops off pretty hard. But this you can, because who cares if the rare is a rare? It's still like 10 cents or whatever. So you can put in your like reduced to Rune Chant and whatever else you want to, you know, put in. So
even like janky majestics.
Yeah.
And there's some majestics that are really good that are super cheap still. Like I don't know if it's still cheap, but one of my favorites is Exude Confidence that I think is just good. And it was like $1.50 and I bought like 10 of them because I'm just like, I want a lot of these because the art's pretty and also the card's good. So
but then you can adjust the ceiling of the budget as well. So you might be able to include like 1 Aether Wildfire or 1 one of the big powerful things, so you have to
Yeah.
search for it and then play it maybe.
Who
So
knows?
that's also easily adjusted.
Maybe you
Or
make
if you want to run a piece of equipment.
maybe you make an Emperor deck with the $10 Emperor and then $10 worth of other
Yeah.
things. Like, I don't know. It could be fun.
Yeah.
I think we should do CC though, because I think that'll be more interesting. You
I
see
think
more
so.
of the deck. But
Yeah.
Nuance it. Yeah, exactly.
so yeah, we're basically gonna end the podcast with that. Let us know if that is something you would like to see. And yeah, don't forget to go check out the Spike Feeders FAB when they do their UPF live stream. That's probably gonna be really sweet.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I think we're not gonna do an Arsenal. We're like 2.5 hours in. You should just cut. You should just cut it. So,
Holy sh-
yeah. So let's just toss it to Az. Az, where can everyone find you? Shield to your heart's content, my friend.
Absolutely, yeah. So Go Again Gaming on YouTube. You can see my spoiler video on there, which I did recently, as well as lots of Azalea stuff with Bill these days. That's quite a regular piece of content, as well as just my raw thoughts as and when they come out. I'm going to the calling this month, so you'll be able to see like a vlog similar to the Leeds calling and other game store stuff I do. So that'll definitely be documented. And then on Twitter, Go Again Gaming AZ as well, where I also post raw thoughts and opinions and concerns and all this. Maybe a couple of shoeies here and there. I should just rebrand the channel to like Go Again Shoeies, as we said last time.
Shoey.
Speaking of which, actually,
Shoey again gaming.
Shoey Again Gaming.
Yeah, dude.
I do owe a shoey on the podcast. I do owe that. I do owe that because I got the courage. I got the courage token wrong.
Oh yeah. Possibly.
So,
maybe next week. Maybe next week we'll do pencil.
Maybe next week when it's exactly.
Pencil in for a shoey.
Yeah, pencil it in. Not sure what drink's going to be done out of the said container of the shoe, but we'll see. But thanks everybody for tuning in. I'll throw it over to Bill from Spike Feeders.
Yeah, I am Bill from the Spike Feeders.
You're welcome.
You can find me on Twitter. Sort of. There's some weird things happening with Twitter. So for the time being, you can find me on Twitter at BillTSF. You can also probably find me on other channels once I've set those up, also at BillTSF. You can also find me on YouTube at the Spike Feeders Fab. Like I sort of mentioned, we do live edited gameplay content, mostly Blitz, and mostly our Goliath Gauntlet series. And if that's something that interests you, you should definitely go check it out.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then before I do my shilling, just want to say that today's episode is brought to you by our new sponsor, The Banish Zone. Once again, we will have a link to their website down below, as well as our promo code, so you can get 10% off a purchase. They are an excellent brand new store that specializes in games that we really like. Flesh and Blood, but other stuff too. Warhammer, Yu-Gi-Oh!, all this great stuff. Grand Archive, and 10% off. It's good. Use it on a case of Dusk Till Dawn or Warhammer Leviathan or whatever the hell you want. So
absolutely, yeah,
great stuff. And then I'm Kel. You can find me at Red Zone Rogue basically anywhere. YouTube, Twitter. Sometimes if I'm not getting rate locked like 10 minutes after looking at my Twitter, we'll see. I don't know. But in any case, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Yeah. Cheers.